WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Coming up Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. right here on The Fan. Join the Jeff and Big Joe Morning Show as we talk to Tony Dungy, the legendary Colts coach and Super Bowl champion, right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
What in the hell do you think you're doing?
Hey, John Boy.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid.
And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard, a pick six for the Maniac. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. Yes, sir.
Sabonis down the lane with authority.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Loaded on a Tuesday afternoon. Kevin Bowen filling in today for John. He'll be back the rest of the week. No worries there, but I'm pumped about the lineup we got. Usual Tuesday guest, Greg Rakestraw, 3:30. Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus. Get a little early Super Bowl prep. I got some free agency stuff to throw at him as well. I know John's got his plan. I've kind of got a few ideas as well that I want to throw at Sam. He'll join us at 4 o'clock, and then we've got a couple great Colt guests in the 5 o'clock hour. Jacob Eason probably has the title for most talked about Colt to have never dressed in a game. He's going to be joining us in the 5 o'clock hour, and then Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Nyheim, the national spokesperson for muscular dystrophy here in 2021, which is just an absolutely awesome thing that Nyheim is doing, and really is kind of epitomizes exactly who he is as a human being. And I think he's a player that might, if he didn't play running back, he'd be due a contract extension in my mind this offseason. But I think he's one of about 3 or 4 Colts that, at least internally, they could discuss a contract extension for. So a great Tuesday lineup for us. And I know a lot of people have been clamoring to talk about Jacob Eason and hear from him. We haven't heard from him a whole lot. So we'll have him on at 5 o'clock. So with that lineup, probably the best way to reach me is KBowen1070 on Twitter. And I'll be checking out the lounge periodically throughout the show. Make sure everyone's doing great over there as I film today for JMV. Again, he'll be back tomorrow and for the rest of the week. It is a very, very crowded basketball schedule as well. I don't know how many days this year we've had literally Butler, Purdue, IU, and the Pacers all playing. And for me, as one of the 5 Notre Dame basketball fans out there, Notre Dame's playing at 5 o'clock. So you got Notre Dame, Wake Forest. You've got Butler, Marquette at 5. I think Purdue is at 6:30, I believe. They've got Maryland. Saw their plane was diverted back to Indianapolis last night. They were supposed to fly just straight from West Lafayette to College Park or BWI, wherever the airport would have been that they would have flown into, but got diverted, a mechanical issue. They ended up flying out late last night from Indy and made it to the Baltimore area. So again, Purdue at 6:30, and then the Pacers 8 o'clock, a little bit later tonight. Do you know why that is, Kyle? Why the Pacers, they've backed up a few of those tips?
The NBA has moved a few 7 o'clock tips back to 8 o'clock, I think, because they're testing day of game now, so give some more time for results to come back. Yeah,
I was curious because Memphis, I know, had they played last night in San Antonio, so I wasn't sure if it was a back-to-back COVID-related thing, but the Grizzlies have won 7 in a row, which I can't believe because their injury report, they're actually missing several guys. Jonas Valanciunas, Justice Winslow. But yeah, they were super balanced last night, scored 133 points to beat the Spurs. Couple of Indiana connections on that team. No Jaren Jackson. He's another guy that's banged up, but they've got John Conchar from Purdue Fort Wayne, and then Desmond Bain, the rookie out of Richmond who played at TCU. I think had 9 guys in double figures last night. So be a good test, I think, upcoming for the Pacers the next handful of days. Obviously, Sunday ended up being a much more of a test than it should have been. playing the Sixers without Joel Embiid and just that collapse of a collapse. I'm not like putting too much stock into. I know the Pacers struggled a bit in January record-wise. I still think this is a pretty good basketball team. You know, I don't know if they can win a series or something like that, which again is kind of the age-old question with them lately. But this will be a really good test at Milwaukee tomorrow night. They've got the Jazz on Sunday, who I think is the second best team in the West. Yeah, I think it goes Lakers and then them. So really good handful of games here coming up for the Pacers. NBA announced today, or at least Woj announced, which means the NBA announced All-Star game potentially March 7th in Atlanta. So that was supposed to be an All-Star game here. That's been pushed to 2024. Again, it'll be an abbreviated All-Star weekend, but Woj seems like that players will have interest, and with Turner being in Atlanta's backyard, they can obviously easily broadcast that game, and that's where the break will come in the schedule for the players there, 72-game schedule. And we'll, I'd assume here the next couple weeks, the NBA will announce the back half of the schedule. So Pacers and Grizz, again, tonight at 8 o'clock. Our coverage will begin at 7:30. And then IU Illinois. I know Dan talked a whole lot about that. He's on the call tonight. ESPN's got that a 9 o'clock tip. So I guess at least that's a little balanced. Won't be too crazy on the remote trying to deal with Butler, Purdue, and IU. But certainly a big week for the Hoosiers with Illinois tonight and then Iowa on Sunday. Both those games from Assembly Hall. I mean, I feel like I honestly don't know if there's a player that's been talked about more than Jacob Eason for the Colts this offseason. I think he takes the cake more than Costanzo or Rivers and you know those two guys hanging it up. I mean, I think people are fascinated by the unknown. Obviously, he's until they made that signing yesterday of some undrafted free agent from Prairie View A&M. He's the only quarterback under contract. So, you know, a couple things I definitely want to talk with Jacob about is just kind of where he feels like his improvement needs to come, because it was a redshirt year for him playing-wise, but it certainly was not a redshirt year for him mentally. And that's a big part of his development, because I felt like when I watched him at Washington, I went back and watched, about 6 or 7 games of him in his senior season in 2019. When he doesn't have to make a whole lot of reads and you give him a clean pocket, boy, that arm talent's a thing of beauty. And I keep on thinking back to, you know, when I filled in for John on Friday, we had Marcus Brady, Colts offensive coordinator, on. And that first trait, I wanted to ask him that question. You know, you kind of create a player in Madden, you create a quarterback. What trait are you giving to that quarterback first? And he mentioned the arm talent, the off-platform throws, the ability to push it vertically, and that is Eason's number one strength. But when you start to create a little chaos, whether that's pre-snap disguise, whether that's bringing some pressure that's not picked up, that's when I worried about him a little bit at Washington. And I guess that's just all part of his development, that, yes, you can do a chunk of that inside the classroom, learning from Phillip Rivers and, you know, being a sponge and, you know, just kind of soaking up what it means to be a professional quarterback. And I think Rivers is the ideal role model for Eason to have watched up close and personal over the past, 5 or 6 months. But sooner or later, he's got to take that to the field. And that's the unknown. I saw Will Carroll, who we sometimes have on these airwaves, the injury expert, tweet yesterday. You know, Jacob Eason, I've asked a ton of Colts people about him, and not a single one has a comment. Did he make progress? No one knows. It's weird. I don't think it's that weird. Like, the dude literally never took off his red jersey. I mean, find me a position in sports that is more different than practice as a quarterback versus a game as a quarterback. Again, any sport. It's the biggest jump from what you're dealing with practice-wise and just the safety valve. You're literally wearing a different colored jersey than everyone else. And so that's the unknown. And that's what you've got to try and project. You've got to try and see if you can get the preseason reps and all of that, because until you take off that red jersey for Jacob Eason, and all of a sudden, not only can he get touched, but he can certainly get sacked, and he's got to make decisions with live bullets flying around him, we aren't going to know. The physique, the arm, the outside the numbers throw. If you want to go back, and because, he was flirted as being a potential first-round pick really before his last season at Washington. If you want to go back and get enamored and obsessed with Jacob Eason, go watch the BYU game from 2019, and really just watch the first half. I mean, oh my gosh. And that's on the road in Provo, hostile environment. I think it was his first road start at Washington. He had started as a true freshman at Georgia, but because he transferred, sat out, hadn't been in a road atmosphere in quite a while, and he just makes some throws that it's just, He makes throws certainly Phillip Rivers couldn't make. And that's what you love. And that is what is the unteachable trait that I think is so attractive about him. But why did he fall to the fourth round? I think the questions are, is that work ethic fully there? I was talking with Kyle before the show started. To be a quarterback in the NFL and to thrive, not survive as a quarterback in the NFL, I mean, your work ethic, your professionalism has got to be at a whole nother level. It's got to be better than anybody else in that locker room, and it's got to be consistent. And I think that was a question with Eason. It's just, is it full throttle? Like, oh my gosh, there is a bit of kind of a live and breathe and die aspect. And honestly, that's a big aspect of why the sacrifices it takes to play football. Andrew Luck just decided that he don't want to make those anymore. And so I think that was a question that you had with Eason. And then, again, it comes back to just his ability to play quarterback, just the processing stuff mentally pre-snap. Frank Reich gives so much responsibility to his quarterbacks. You can make run checks, you handle the pass protection stuff, all that. I felt like when I watched Eason, and again, outside of starting his freshman year at Georgia, where you're naturally going to protect a true freshman in the SEC, I don't know if the reins were ever kind of fully taken off. And so that's why so much growth was needed from him. He played 27 games in college. He only had more than 300 yards passing in 4 of those games. I think that's a stat that probably not a lot of people, when you think of college quarterbacks and just offenses in general, you think of some big numbers. But again, part of that is starting as a true freshman at Georgia. Not a lot of bearing kind of individual responsibility there, and then got hurt early in his sophomore year, and Jake Fromm took over, and that was the end of that. So yeah, Jacob Eason around 5 o'clock, Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Bowen 1070 on Twitter if you want to join the conversation over there. Blake says, does Stafford being gone now raise the chance of a not ready Eason being the guy they go with? I cannot see them starting Jacob Eason here in 2021, week 1. Now, I don't think it's the craziest idea in the world. I remember having conversations last year with John and with Dan about if Phillip got hurt, I would have gone with Eason. I just would have looked right over Jacoby. Like, I've seen Jacoby start 30 games. I don't need to see that anymore. Throw Eason in there. He needs the reps. It's impossible to simulate, replicate that stuff in practice. But when he practiced this past year, he really didn't take meaningful practice reps at all until November. That's when Rivers got hurt. Remember the Green Bay game? Rivers trying to block, hurts his toe. And I don't think Rivers practiced another Wednesday the rest of the season, which is the first practice day of every game week. And so Eason ran the scout team on those, 5 or 6 practice days. And then Jacoby bumped up and ran the starting offense. So even when Eason did practice, it was scout team. Wasn't even the Colts offense. But, I remember watching him over at Lucas Oil a couple of those practice days back in training camp, and the ball just comes out differently. There's just a velocity, and there's just a 97-mile-per-hour fastball that he can get to some places a little bit quicker than a lot of QBs can. So I thought one of the things that did worry me about his college days was Washington was, I think they were like 102nd or 103rd in third down efficiency with him at quarterback. Like, I don't know about you guys, but to me, third down is a big kind of, again, mental processing. Identifying things pre-snap. Where's the disguise? Zone, man. Are they taking away our number one option? Where's my hot read? Where's the blitz coming from? And to be that poor, and they were a really good red zone team, but to be that poor on third down, how much of that is on the quarterback's plate? Now, granted, this year, the Colts weren't a great third down team either, and that was with a quarterback that obviously knew the system really, really well. So excited to talk to Jacob. Nice guy. And we'll have that around 5 o'clock. Nyheim Hines again at 5:30. I put him on the extension list. We'll get into a little bit of those later in the show. I think there's about 3 or 4 guys that you would have conversations about extending this season. Now, with the COVID cap implications and all of that, who knows if they get all of them done. But I look at about 4 guys that I would consider deserving of at least getting a contract extension this offseason or having the conversation. Jeremiah says, thank you about having the Jacob Eason conversation. Yeah, I feel like we talk about Eason. We act like we don't know anything. I mean, we know some stuff, but I just wanted to provide a little bit more insight into him. And again, I'll encourage anyone that missed the Marcus Brady conversation to the podcast page up on 107.5 The Fan. I mean, we asked him probably 3 or 4 Jacob Eason questions, and we'll talk to him a little bit more about what he learned during that rookie year, and not a lot of question asking from Jacob. I think it was more of soaking it in, and he did do some stuff, kind of pregame workouts before the COVID restrictions happened. He'd go on the field with Marcus Brady before games and kind of throw a route tree and a little bit of the scripted game plan to a degree, and that's all fine and well, but there's just another step that has to be taken there. You guys see what Albert Breer reported earlier in the week on the Colts and the Matthew Stafford interest? I think Peter King said that the Colts stopped at a first or a third, or a first and a third, I should say. Albert Breer mentioned that the Colts were discussing potentially sending some players, which that caught my eye. Now, obviously, we know what Chris Ballard thinks of draft picks, so maybe we shouldn't be too stunned by that, but, I mean, who would those players be? I'm curious who you guys think. There's one that definitely comes to mind for me that would make some sense, but it's just not something we see a lot in the NFL. You don't really see a lot of players kind of tagged on to draft pick trades. I mean, sure, you see it somewhat, but definitely not high level players very often. It's not like a sign and trade league. It's not a big not really super big with that. So we'll get into that a little bit as well. And I will kind of provide where we're at now of at least who I think realistically the Colts should go after at quarterback. Again, I'm team draft. I've been team draft. I will continue to be team draft. But I know full well that that's a risk. And waiting till April, 23rd, 24th, whenever the draft is, you're obviously showing your hand a bit. So the Colts might have to make a move here in the next month and a half at quarterback. So who are the names and where do you go after? that to try and address the quarterback need. Honestly, the best case scenario, I think, is just you got to cheer for teams to stick with their quarterback situation. You know, you got to hope and pray that for some reason the Jets think they can resurrect Darnold at 2. You got to hope the Falcons, drafting number 4 overall, want to keep Matt Ryan. I saw Carolina was rumored as sending the 8th overall pick for Matthew Stafford. Well, that doesn't say that they love Teddy Bridgewater. Is Teddy Bridgewater on the trade market? If not, I think you want Carolina to, again, be in on Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously, you got Philly above them with Carson Wentz in that situation. So I think that's what you're hoping for if you are in the team draft mode like I am. I think those are all things that you got to hope for. Saw the Colts lost another assistant coach today. Frankie Ross, their assistant special teams coach, taking over the duties of special teams coordinator in Houston. So that's now 6 assistants that the Colts have lost this offseason. I think all of them are either promotion or just retirement. I don't know. I don't. You hate to like undermine what assistant coaches mean, but I'm not losing like too much sleep over it because to me, you're still keeping your offensive system in place. Your defensive coordinator's not going anywhere. Your special teams coordinator isn't going anywhere. So you aren't installing anything new. I think, honestly, Tom Rathman, the running backs coach, is probably the biggest loss because to me, that position coach probably deals with the most turnover at his position because it's a group that just there's constant turnover at running back. Constant turnover. And Rathman has a great history in the league, and the Colts really held on to the ball extremely well with him. So I think those would be he, to me, would be kind of the big, maybe the biggest loss. That might be unfair to Nick Sirianni. But again, you got Frank Reich's system. So I don't lose a whole lot of sleep over that. Denny wanted to ask about Matt Ryan. I mean, that cap hit is just too much for me. Way too much. I want to say it's like $36 million for Matt Ryan. I mean, Stafford was what, 23 mil? Derek Carr. And again, we haven't seen his name floated around yet, but you never know with the Raiders. If that name starts to get floated around, that's around the 20s as well. I mean, those are Matt Ryan, age 36 for that much money. And I mean, a world of talent around him at the receiver position, and they haven't been able to get it done lately. So I just don't. The Band-Aids don't excite me. The Band-Aids do not excite me. So I have all that to hit on again. I'll go over kind of my 2 or 3 guys, QB option-wise, that I like. We'll talk a little bit about the contract extension chatter as well. Not top of mind for Chris Ballard, certainly, but we saw Ryan Kelly get extended last offseason, right before the season started. Grover Stewart, of course, during the year. A few more as well. If you guys want to continue to talk about Jacob Eason and kind of what I watched in those games at Washington, feel free, but we will have Jacob on around 5 o'clock. Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Again, Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus at 4. And when we come back here on the Ride of the JMV, Greg Rexdahl will join us for his typical Tuesday segment. Kevin Bowen filling in today for John, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Mike Wells.
You talk about 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We saw that in 2018. They took a step forward back when Luck led them to the playoffs. Then they took like 3 steps back when Luck retired. You take another step forward with the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. Now you're potentially looking at a step or 2 back, depending on who the quarterback is going to be next season. Not a great position to be in for the Colts.
The Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Weekday mornings at 7
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Sports Center updates on The Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Save big all February long at Big O with up to $190 off a set of Michelin tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Hockey and basketball fans love scoring in nets. But what else do they have in common? A chance for an easy 100 from BetMGM. Register for the King of Sportsbooks and win $100 in free bets when you place a $1 moneyline wager on the Pacers-Grizzlies game. And if either team hits a 3, you win. Simply sign up using the bonus code BIGJOE100 when you make that first bet to take advantage of this offer. Now, maybe you got more in common with table tennis fans. You know, that was a Stasiak family Christmas present this year. No matter what your sport, BetMGM is where the stakes are always raised. So enjoy innovative parlay selection features, boosted odds specials for major payouts, daily promotions, and more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com to use that bonus code BIGJOE100 to win $100 in free bets when you wager $1 on either Indiana or Memphis to hit a 3. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years of age or older to wager, and if you know someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Maxine. But since she is so focused on growing her career, we hired an actor to read her story.
At Geico, I love mentoring the new associates to help them make this a career and not just a job.
And with new opportunities and job stability, Geico has been helping people grow their careers for over 75 years. The only downside, she still hasn't met the gecko. Where are you, fella?
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
JMV here for LD Smith Plumbing. Have you already called out a plumber only to be unimpressed with their knowledge and skill? Or maybe shocked about pricing? Then call my guy Lance at LD Smith Plumbing for a free second opinion. I promise, I've used them. They are awesome. LD Smith Plumbing is a local company that can tackle any issue, big or small, for you. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com or 317-284-9526. 317-284-9526. Must provide competitor invoice for free second opinion. Details at ldsmithplumbing.com.
Take your romance game to a whole new level this Valentine's with Diamonds Direct's most popular offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase happening right now. You know jewelry is the perfect gift to celebrate your love. And with this incredible offer, you can afford to go big. Like a $6,000 diamond tennis bracelet, just $100 a month. Or a $3,000 pair of diamond earrings, just $50 a month. Diamonds Direct has teamed up with the world's top jewelry designers for an expanded selection of Valentine's surprises for any budget. Romantic gifts starting as low as $400. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, colored gemstones. The guaranteed largest selection, highest quality, and always the best value. Whether you shop in store or online at DiamondsDirect.com. Make this the most memorable Valentine's ever with 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase, including engagement rings. Now through Valentine's Day. Celebrate your love at Diamonds Direct.
Keystone at the Crossing.
Place your sports bets at BetRivers.com. You'll find a massive number of basketball betting options. Bet point spreads, money lines, and game totals directly from your mobile device. Use one of our 12 easy deposit methods to get in on the action. And when you win, we pay fast. We pride ourselves on our quick and easy payouts. Sign up now. We'll match your first deposit up to $250. More bets, more action, more fun. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
You could be saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month with a simple refinance. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Sports with Dan Dockich.
John Salisbury. I have people emailing me, Chris Ballard isn't doing his job. And I'm thinking to myself, it takes two to tango here, baby.
That's the thing about trading. This isn't free agency. When they say Chris Ballard isn't doing his job, because he didn't want to part with more than 2 first-rounders, a third-rounder, and a big-time player for Matt Stafford. Listen, people want to panic. We got to get it done now. I'm not worried about Chris Ballard finding one.
Dan Dockich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Say, man, you got a joint? No, not on me, man. It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, reporting that the Falcons will not be moving on from Matt Ryan. They want to keep him and Julio Jones with new head coach Arthur Smith. So I felt like Matt Ryan, at least for some people, not me, was a realistic name that people were casually intrigued by. I don't know if anyone is intrigued by any of these QBs, but it doesn't look like he will be. an option. Let's head to the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline and for more on this conversation, but certainly we'll talk about a variety of things. He's Greg Straw from ISC Sports Network. What's up, Rake?
No, I'm great. It's always good to catch up with you. Is the White Snake your call? Because that strikes me as more of a JMV thing.
Say that again?
I said, on the bumper on the way into the segment, I was hearing a little White Snake.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking, maybe Kevin doesn't get to pick his own music when he sets in for JMV the way that John does.
You know me, Rake. I know about 10%. 10%'s generous. Probably 3% of the music that John plays. But White Snake, Here We Go Again, that's actually a song that I know and enjoy. So I appreciate Kyle just feeling it for me there.
I think my ears are still ringing from the JMV Sucks, but his concerts doesn't. White Snake performance about 5 years ago at this point. And it pains me to say that was like 5 years ago we actually pulled that concert off.
God, I can only imagine the stories that you would have from there. What's Rake's schedule look like for this week?
My schedule is a little laid back this week. It is girls sectional week, and I will have the championship game from North Central, which my best guess would be Lawrence North and North Central. And then I have Carmel and Lawrence North and boys basketball on Thursday night. Have some Marion University women's games on Saturday afternoon as well. But for me, that constitutes a laid-back week this week.
Since we're on the sectional front, I guess we'll start there. We're still 2 weeks away from boys pairing show? 2 or 3 weeks?
Correct. The boys pairing show is February the 21st. The boys sectional gets underway on March the 2nd.
Now, anything different schedule-wise, whether it's sectionals, regionals, or semi-state? Yeah, obviously, we've pushed back the state finals for a week, but anything different boys playoff-wise, I guess, tournament-wise, due to COVID from a scheduling standpoint?
No, nothing else has changed. And the idea was that you wanted to have the state finals in Baker's Life, as they had been the last 20 years. And the least disruptive move you could make was to have the 8 teams that won the semi-state wait for an extra week instead of affecting either 16 teams in the semi-state, 64 teams that made the regional, or the 400-ish teams that will play in the entire state tournament itself. So, no, they're going to keep the sectional, regional, and semi-state the same 3 weeks as were scheduled.
Have you seen LN play this year?
Oh, just about 7 or 8 times at this point.
Of course, I shouldn't have doubted. CJ Gunn, it looks like he's going to announce his commitment for 2022, potentially to IU. What are your thoughts on him as a player?
I am seeing him get better by the week. He was a guy that was injured last year and played about half the games, and because of the amount of talent around him, which included all of his teammates this year, but also Tony Perkins, who was the runner-up to Mr. Basketball but now plays at Iowa, he kind of got lost in the shuffle when he played last year. He didn't stand out to me. Again, I have had LN so much this year, I've literally seen him get better by the game. So IU, Cincinnati, Xavier, Kansas State, Missouri are some of the teams that are in on CJ. I think a lot of people think he's going to commit to IU on Sunday when that announcement is made. He's got the tools, and he's getting better by the game. 6'4", maybe will grow a little bit more. Long wingspan, good shooter, can create his own shot, clearly has solid teammates that he plays off of well. He's averaging about 15 points a game. I think he's a good pickup for Indiana, if that's the way he goes.
Greg Straw, ISC Sports Network, joined us here on the ride of the JMV. Kevin Bowen filling in for John. Couldn't sleep last night, Ray. Dialed up the old Twitter, and Kyle Denrip's Fab 15 pops up, and I start scrolling, and I see Plainfield at number 4. And I'm like, whoa. I haven't been paying too close attention, but what have I missed?
That is legit, and I've only seen them once. They're not a team that normally appears on my schedule. We had them in the All-State Sneakers for Sandy Shootout back on December the 5th, and they beat North Central, and their 6'7" post Ian Scott had 43 and 16. And as time has played on, North Central isn't maybe their typical selves, but they're not bad. And the one thing North Central has is bigs that can guard you. They're 6'5", 6'6", and 6'8", as far as their guys that see a lot of playing time. And so that wasn't against some chump that he put up 43 and 16. Those were against good players. They've got Aiden Boer, who plays the point guard at about 6'3", 6'4". Andy Weaver's done a really good job at Plainfield. For them, the hurdle is getting past Brownsburg. Brownsburg has not been as good as people thought they would be this year, but they're still experienced. They're still big. That's not exactly a guarantee that Plainfield gets past them in the sectional. Other teams in that sectional, Terre Haute North, Terre Haute South, which are both a little down this year. Avon is not as good as they have been because they had several players transfer out of the program before this season started. And Mooresville, I think, rounds out that sectional. So I think that sectional 12 comes down to Plainfield and Brownsburg. Again, Plainfield's the best team. Isn't always exactly a guarantee they're going to come out of that sectional.
Given the fact that they obviously will stay up north come tournament time, is Homestead the favorite in 4A?
Yes, but they would see Carmel in the regional, and Carmel's really good. To me, there is a big four, and then there's a line of demarcation after that. And that four would be LN, Carmel, Cathedral, and Homestead, and that's not in a particular order. The losses those teams have are all to other teams in that group. So Cathedral lost to Homestead in double overtime at the same event in Brownsburg that I saw Plainfield back on December the 5th. Cathedral went to Carmel and won by a point. Homestead went to LN and won in overtime, which is why I'm geeked about having Carmel and Lawrence North of that quadrant of teams coming up on Thursday night. So Homestead is good. Anytime you've got two Big Ten players on your roster, you're going to be. Luke Goody's going to play in Illinois next year. Fletcher Lawyer, the move-in from Michigan, is heading to Purdue to play in 2 years. He's in the junior class, just like C.J. Gunn. But it's not like that Homestead is so good that they can't be beaten by those other three teams or maybe even other teams in the northern half of the bracket. Lafayette Jeff will likely be in that same regional. They would run into South Bend Adams, who lost for the first time this year to Warren on Saturday in the semi-state round. Gary West has some real talent that would come out of the other regional in the northern half. So Homestead is good, but this is not like they've got Biggie Swanigan and they're that good when they beat Wright in the state championship game 6 years ago. So they are most deservedly the number one team in the state. They're not an unbeatable number one team in the state.
Shifting gears, Rake, and Greg Shaw, Colts postgame host, among other things, joined us here on the Ride of the JMV. It's taken me probably 8 minutes to talk quarterback with you, which I'm sure you will be at least somewhat grateful for. Let's go here with the whole quarterback debate. Realistic option if the sole goal is to go one step further than you did this year. So if your goal, again, isn't so much long-term, if it's, okay, let's win a game in the month of January, do you see any realistic option, trade, free agency-wise, or I guess draft, that would appease that goal?
It's tough, just because I thought Stafford was that realistic option. I understand not wanting to mortgage your future to go get him. What you talked about almost as kind of a throwaway line to begin the segment, I would have put Matt Ryan in that category as a guy that maybe could have gotten you a step further. And not too different from Stafford, other than being a couple of 3 years older. That was the thing that was appealing about Stafford, was that you felt he was a 5 or 6 year option at quarterback. Matt Ryan would have been somewhere in between he and Phillip Rivers, being kind of a 2 or 3 year option at the quarterback position. The names that are most likely going to be available would be Jameis Winston, Fitzmagic, and I still think Sam Darnold can be had. But again, the question is, how much do you have to give up, to get him, or do the Jets get to a point where they decide, you know what, we just want a younger quarterback, whether it's Wilson, whether it's Fields, whether it's Lance, whether it's whomever. If they decide, all right, we're starting over anyway, let's get younger at quarterback, and now we need to get rid of Sam Darnold. What does it take to get him? I think that's where the process could play in Indy's favor. If they say, all right, let's take a chance, let's let him play on his rookie deal, and let's see what happens a couple of years from now and take it from there. So if the answer isn't going to be Brissett, Eason, other veteran, those to me are the likely choices at this point.
Am I crazy to think if you were to trade for Carson Wentz, and maybe I'm going too much off the Jared Goff situation, but there's a chance Philly would give you a draft pick to take on that contract?
Right. That is a very NBA thing.
TJ Warren, trade.
Right. It's starting to creep into the NFL as well, and so I've almost thought that if honestly, I think because of the hiring of Nick Sirianni, to me that tells me Philly's going to give Wentz at least one more shot.
Right.
If you're not changing the quarterback, and you're going to change kind of the guy that coaches the quarterback, they're going to keep Wentz. But yes, I thought that was going to have to be a way for Philly to unload that contract, was that it had to be like a pick swap, and not like where are you picking around, like literally you would get like a second-round pick back and give up like a fifth or a sixth. You get the better pick and you get the quarterback. I could see that as a possibility. Had not Philadelphia went out and hired Nick Sirianni, I think that tells me Wentz is staying put with the Eagles.
We're going to have Jacob Eason on in the 5 o'clock hour. I think it's a long shot, Rake, and probably more than a long shot that he would start week 1 here in 2021. What percentage would you give it that he could potentially be the backup to start the season?
Backup, I would say 50%, if not greater. If I am lucky enough to be on the Colts preseason broadcast again come August, my guess is I'm going to tell a lot about Jacob Eason's life story.
Selfishly, I want you calling so many Jacob Eason throws come August, right?
Right. I will celebrate his entire catalog, I believe, if that's the case, because they have to get him more reps. If last year was a normal year, then we frankly would have had a little bit more knowledge about Jacob Eason. He would have gotten more time. We'd have seen him in a preseason. But he basically had an NFL redshirt year this past year. So I could see a scenario where he's the 2. I could see a scenario where he's the 3, and they keep him as the 3rd on the active roster all season long. So starting quarterback, very small percentage. Backup quarterback, I'd say 50-50 shot.
Greg Rakestraw, ISC Sports Network, join us here, Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. If John was in this chair, he'd want me to ask you certainly about the Sycamores. That's 6 in a row for Indiana State. There's a lot of great college basketball today in the state, but we got to go out there to Greg Lansing and company. Doesn't look like, based off Drake and Loyola, that they'll have a chance maybe to win the Mo Valley, but that's a hell of a run here in conference for the Sycamores.
That's a great run. And honestly, I believe of their 5 losses, 4 are to Loyola and Drake, correct? Or 3 of them are, and they've got a victory over Loyola?
I think so, yeah, 3, yeah.
So that's a quality win. And I saw this suggested by somebody from the Terre Haute area on Twitter, basically say, hey, if Drake and Loyola get to the Missouri Valley tournament and feel like they're locks for the NCAA, maybe they could take a nice little 7-day, COVID pause and let the other 8 teams fight it out for an automatic berth so the Valley goes 3 deep. I doubt it would play out that way. But clearly the way Indiana State is playing, they give themselves an opportunity to compete with Drake and Loyola when it comes to the Missouri Valley tournament. Now, is there going to be an NIT this year? I don't know. A friend of mine that I asked about it that would have knowledge and be connected seems to think there will be. I don't think there will be kind of the tertiary tournaments like the CBI and the CIT, so it's probably NCAA tournament or bust for the Sycamores. But I'm very happy for Greg Lansing, and I'm happy for the amount of Indiana kids that are playing key roles on that basketball team, that good things are happening. And that is led by Jake Laravia of Lawrence Central. I really felt that when he opened up his recruiting from SIU Edwardsville at the end of his senior year, I thought he might get some Big Ten looks. And so the fact that he's at Indiana State and doing great things doesn't surprise me in the least, KB.
With your heart, with your head, Chiefs or Bucks on Sunday?
With your head, you'd have to pick the Chiefs. Even with Tom Brady's track record, even with, frankly, how good the Bucks have looked in the postseason, Chiefs are the best team in the National Football League for a reason. The heart would say, hey, I want to see Bruce Arians get one. Love to see Clyde Christensen get another. Love to see Tom Moore be involved in another. But again, it's not like, again, I don't think the Chiefs are going to blow the Bucs out of the water. I just think the Chiefs are the better team. Will kind of keep them at bay, and this is like a 7 to 10 point victory come Sunday evening.
Right, I love it. Enjoy another busy week. It sounds like a lot of girls tournament action for you, and we'll hopefully chat soon.
By the way, I've got your Irish next Saturday night, and it is certainly possible on April the 3rd that the Cathedral Fighting Irish are the 4A state champs. That is certainly a possibility.
Don't get my hopes up. We just
They're-
got to win a
they're-
sectional
they're
game.
that good.
We've had issues in that sectional of death, Rake.
I realize, and I'll have every game of that sectional of death from Tech High School this year. And I realize it has been now 8 years since the Irish won a sectional, which was the year they got to the state championship game. So I understand that. But Cathedral is every bit as good as those other 3 teams in 4A. So just, keep paying attention.
I will. It seems like they got some great balance over there on East 56. So, Rake, thanks for hopping on, man.
See you, pal.
That's Greg Rakestraw right there on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We'll get to this report. I am interested in Colts in a wideout. I don't know how accurate this is, but we will talk about that. Maybe some potential interest for the Colts on the receiver market, something we heard about. Jim Irsay mentioned last week. We'll touch on that, those extensions I wanted to talk about earlier, and take your tweets and calls. K Bowen 1070 on Twitter. Kevin Bowen filling in for John.
Sports with Dan Dakich.
Would you all just be completely, ridiculously disappointed if it ended up being Jacoby Brissett? Would it be like, I'm not getting interested until and if the Colts win a few games with this guy? I don't know, but I think the more this goes on, the more it's a real possibility Jacoby's going to be in the mix.
Dan Dakich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hubler Auto Group has 8 brands to choose from and thousands of vehicles in stock. Plus, all new vehicles come with a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty included. Visit drivehubler.com.
Kids, tell your parents about Form's Sprout of the Month contest where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
Hey, it's JMV for CarX Tire and Auto, and their clearance sale going on right now. 4-passenger tires, just $299, or 4 light truck or SUV tires, just $399. 50K mile warranty as well. In-stock tires only while supplies last. Go to CarX.com or visit one of the 13 area locations. CarX Tire and Auto, Indianapolis' full-service neighborhood auto service provider for 40-plus years. Better Business Bureau A+ rated. Don't worry. Call the CarX man.
Hey, it's time to check out the brand new Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood. This place is unreal. It's like a sports bar for your head. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood on State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Get an unbelievable haircut, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment for a great price. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men has won double-digit men's styling awards, and their talented stylists are delivering the best haircuts in all of Indy. On State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Lady Jane's in Greenwood, it's wicked awesome.
Take your romance game to a whole new level this Valentine's with Diamonds Direct's most popular offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase happening right now. You know jewelry is the perfect gift to celebrate your love. And with this incredible offer, you can afford to go big. Like a $6,000 diamond tennis bracelet, just $100 a month. Or a $3,000 pair of diamond earrings, just $50 a month. Diamonds Direct has teamed up with the world's top jewelry designers for an expanded selection of Valentine's surprises for any budget. Romantic gifts starting as low as $400. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, colored gemstones. The guaranteed largest selection, highest quality, and always the best value. Whether you shop in store or online at DiamondsDirect.com. Make this the most memorable Valentine's ever with 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase, including engagement rings. Now through Valentine's Day. Celebrate your love at Diamonds Direct.
Keystone at the Crossing.
Terry Stacy here for your trusted local independent American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning dealer, B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. Owner Dave Machine has some ways to save some money on your winter heating bills.
Well, the number one thing with any furnace air conditioner is going to be your airflow. So you got to make sure that filter is clean, your registers are open, you don't have any restrictions on it, and you got maintenance on your furnace. Make sure that thing is running just like it should.
Thanks, Dave. Put B&W to work for you by going to BigBlackTrucks.com. B&W, your trusted local independent American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
Don Fisher here for Indiana University basketball. Join us tonight for all the action with IU meeting Illinois in a very important Big Ten clash with the pregame at 8 p.m., followed by the tip at 9 on our sister station, 93.1 FM WIBC.
Hey, it's JMV. It's 2021, and we can all agree it's time for a change. Have 2021 be your year for worry-free water by upgrading to a revolutionary Connecticut water treatment system. Water affects every aspect of your life. You drink it, cook with it, shower in it, and now is the time to choose Connecticut and have the best water of your life. Connecticut has the most efficient water treatment systems on the market. They use zero electricity and use less salt than the competitors. Contact my friends at Connecticut today for that free in-home water treatment test. ConnecticutIndy.com. Now.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Wow. I don't know what to say. I guess the only thing I can say is I'll promise to keep rocking and rolling and making better films.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome back. Ride at JMV, Kevin Bowen here today. Jacob Eason joined us 5 o'clock. Can't wait for that. Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Nyheim, the spokesperson for muscular dystrophy. It's impacted his family, and he's been chosen as his 2021 spokesperson for that. So really, really cool, and just a great, great guy. Nyheim Hines. We're looking forward to chatting with them. Again, Sam Monson, the usual Tuesday 4 o'clock segment coming up next here. I don't know. I really haven't heard this name much. He looks familiar. I feel like I maybe have ran into him. Evan Massey. Do you see this, Kyle? I'm scrolling through his Twitter. Does all he does is report just random interest for teams and players? I feel like that's all he's doing. He says, Colts are expected to target free agent wideout Chris Godwin this offseason. They would like to re-sign Hilton and add another weapon. Godwin would be a perfect number one option in Indy. Well, I guess the only new information is just that first part. Yes, they would like to re-sign Hilton. And yes, they would like to add another weapon. I feel like every time I watch Chris Godwin, he's dropping the football. And I know he's a much better football player than that, and I don't even think his drop rate is that high. But I feel like he's had some drops. But yeah, I mean, only 24. I really think it's a great wide receiver class in free agency. I know John's been big on Allen Robinson. I'd be a fan of that as well. Kenny Golladay, Juju Smith-Schuster, Will Fuller, Corey Davis, former top 10 pick. So you got a wide variety there. Ages, size, speed. Godwin is a really explosive athlete, and I know that would be something that the Colts obviously have interest in, but I do think I'm very high on Michael Pittman. And again, I know this is the biggest if in the world, but if Paris Campbell can somehow string together health, I think a Pittman-Campbell duo moving forward, that's a really good tandem. But I definitely think the Colts need to look into making another move at receiver. Boy, if you re-sign Hilton and pay for Godwin, that's going to be some money. That's going to be a lot of money right there at wideout. I definitely can't see Xavier Rhodes taking any sort of hometown discount. T.Y. might take a little bit, but I can't see T.Y. taking too much of a hometown discount. But they do love him, and they should. And I really don't think T.Y. I don't think the door should be slammed shut at all on T.Y. But I also feel like there's opportunities to get younger, a little bit more explosive. I still worry about post-catch stuff with this team. Pittman gave you a little bit of that, but I don't think there's enough of that on this roster. I saw kind of a very deep analytics dive into the yards after catch. The Colts actually were decent at it this season, but the stat they weren't great at was forcing missed tackles. So think about that. If they're good at yards after catch, but they don't force a lot of missed tackles, that means the yards after catch is really schemed up. And, all those crossers that Pittman hit on, even the first game of the season, we saw Campbell hit on a few of those. Getting a player that can be a little bit more dynamic with the ball, I think is something that obviously every team would love to add, but I think that would really complement what you've got at your skill group as well. All right, we're going to take a break here. Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus joined us, the PFF lead analyst. He'll join us when we come back here. And then again, Jacob Eason, 5 o'clock, and Nyheim Hines at 5:30. K-Bowen 1070 on Twitter, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Mike Wells. You talk about one step forward, two steps back. We saw that in 2018. They took a step forward back when Luck led them to the playoffs. Then they took 3 steps back when Luck retired. You take another step forward with the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. Now you're potentially looking at a step or two back, depending on who the quarterback is going to be next season. Not a great position to be in for the Colts.
The Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Weekday mornings at 7
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Let's face it, football fans. 2020 was kind of like... Ouch. But Unibet Sportsbook is betting 2021 is going to be a bit more like... And it starts with the big game. Sign up for $20 free today, $21 on game day, and two $250 risk-free bets. Let's do 2021 better. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, it's John for Love Heating and Air. John and Chris Love with the best service this time of year, making sure you're warm and toasty in your home, and that no-cost second opinion at 317-353-2141. And if you mention my name, you'll get $125 off the most advanced air purification system that's out there. That's iWave. Right now, use my name. Love Heating and Air Conditioning, 317-353-2141. Online, love-hvac.com.
Hi, I'm Rick Edelman, and I have a feeling that retirement is on your mind. You're wondering if you've saved enough or whether your money is in the right places. You're wondering when will you be able to retire, or will you be able to stay retired? And is your money sufficient so you can live in comfort and financial security for the rest of your life? You're wondering all this, but you really don't have to just wonder. You can resolve all these questions in your effort to enjoy a retirement that's everything you want it to be. And we can help. At Edelman Financial Engines, our clients are predominantly concerned about retirement, your financial security for your spouse, for your aging parents, for your children. And we can help you just like we've helped thousands of folks just like you for more than 30 years. So call us at Edelman Financial Engines at 888-PLAN-RIC. That's 888-PLAN-RIC. Or visit us at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com. And don't wonder about your retirement, because we're here to help you.
We go out as a group of guys, some former players, and they are just blown away with how great my hair looks. I did the multi-unit hair grafting because I was tired of having to wear a hat.
My friend Rick DeMully, Indiana's own former professional football player, and I both know We Grow Hair Indy is the most trusted medical hair restoration clinic and the only company in the Midwest that has the ARTIST robotic FUE and multi-unit hair grafting. Call 888-724-5129 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com. We Grow Hair Indy PRP treatments helps me keep my non-transplanted hair. Takes about 45 minutes, in this busy world, it's perfect.
Having the hair that I have now has just given me confidence and just making me feel good about myself.
This year, restore your confidence and grow your hair back. Call for a free in-office or virtual evaluation. 888-724-5129 or WeGrowHairIndy.com. Today, that's 888-724-5129.
Now is the time to cheer on your Indiana Pacers live inside Bankers Life Fieldhouse.
Line pass over the shoulder as he cut across the baseline right to left. Turner took it and dunked it.
Single-game Pacer tickets are now on sale, and a safe fan experience is our top priority.
Sabonis, McDermott,
Let it go.
Brogdon for three. Got it! Malcolm Brogdon!
The Pacers look to tame the Memphis Grizzlies Tuesday night at 8. Get tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers Grizzlies, Tuesday at 8.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Save big all February long at Big O with up to $190 off a set of Michelin tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Don't miss your shot. Get pre-approved today for your new home with our 5-minute loan approval. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC, HD2, W298BB, WIBC, HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
The Pacers welcome the Memphis Grizzlies to the Field House tonight at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Awesome! Totally awesome! All right, Hamilton.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
That's winners of 7 in a row. The Memphis Grizzlies coming into Bankers Life tonight. Pacers at Bucks tomorrow. So nice little back-to-back here for a Pacers bunch trying to end their 2-game losing streak. Butler at 5 tonight. That's at Marquette. Purdue at Maryland, 6:30. I think that tip time's been changed. It was supposed to be at 8. Moved up to 6:30. And then IU, Illinois at 9 o'clock. So busy night of hoops, but let's head to the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline where Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus lead analyst, joins us every Tuesday, and he is there right now. How are you doing, Sam?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing great. Appreciate the time. Big news, I guess, Saturday night, late Saturday night. Certainly here for a lot of Colts fans. It felt like Matthew Stafford and even myself made a whole lot of sense. What did you think when you saw the value and the trade package the Rams sent the Lions for Matthew Stafford?
Yeah, I think he did make a lot of sense, but obviously the Rams were just prepared to pay a completely different price than the Colts were. And part of that obviously is getting rid of Jared Goff's contract, and the Lions were willing to take that on board and eat that salary over the next couple of years. But I think the Colts did make a lot of sense for Matthew Stafford, but the Lions were just prepared to go to the team with the highest asking price.
Do you think Goff is a salary dump, or do you look at him as the Lions could be building around him?
I mean, I don't see a reason it can't be both. I think the Rams desperately wanted rid of Jared Goff, and honestly, that's the single biggest takeaway for me for that trade is just how desperately they did not want him to be a Los Angeles Ram in 2021. But that doesn't mean that everybody thinks that way of Goff. As much as he did regress and he was a part of the problem for the Rams this season, he wasn't a disaster. And you can do a lot worse as Jared Goff as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I think there's a pretty good chance that the Lions looked at this and said, okay, we're going to get 2 first-round picks back for a guy that, there is an argument to move on from anyway. And we get a quarterback that, might be able to be put back together and be a decent starter as part of this deal. Everybody there has a 6-year contract. They've got some time on their side. I think they're prepared to roll that dice. And then if Goff doesn't work out, that's when they go to, a young guy and a new succession plan.
Do you see Matthew Stafford flourishing in Sean McVay's system?
I think he'll probably be better there, better than he was in Detroit and better than Jared Goff was. But I don't know that we're going to see this, incredible all-pro Matthew Stafford season that everybody seems to always think is just around the corner. I think ultimately, for all the arm talent and his ability and the incredible play that he's sometimes capable of, I think Stafford probably is inherently a little bit inconsistent. And that will probably forever prevent him from being, one of the very, very best quarterbacks in the league.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, joining us here on the Ride with JMV. Kevin Bowen filling in today for John. Let's shift over to kind of the Colts and their offseason plans. The name right now, it's a little bit popular on the social media web, is Chris Godwin as a free agent target for the Colts. Obviously, we'll see him Sunday night in the Super Bowl. What do you think about that fit, and what type of player would the Colts be getting if they were to go after Chris Godwin?
Yeah, I love Chris Godwin. I think he's a great player. He's not having the best run the last few games. He's had, I think, more drops in the playoffs this year than he's had in the last couple of seasons in total. 7 drops, I think, in a couple of games in the playoffs this season. But overall, he's a fantastic receiver. He's good at everything. He can play in all receiver positions. He can line up in the slot, out wide, win at all levels of the defense. I think he would be a great addition to that team. I don't know that the Bucs will let him go. I think they'll probably franchise tag him or try and desperately keep him in the building. But if he did hit the open market, I think he'd be a great receiver for Indianapolis to go after.
I feel like it's a super deep wideout group. I mean, yeah, you got the top guys and Juju and Kenny Golladay and Allen Robinson. Godwin would probably be in that mix. But then, kind of these former first-round picks that, maybe just a change of scenery. Can Will Fuller stay healthy? Can Corey Davis emerge, after being a top 10 pick? I'm not used to seeing the amount of depth that at least it looks like on paper, Sam.
It is a great receiver offseason, not just the free agent group. The free agent group is really good. The top end of, Godwin, Kenny Golladay, Allen Robinson, and then all those guys you mentioned, there is a ton of depth. It's a great time to be needing a receiver in free agency, but it's also for the third, fourth year in a row, it's one of the best wide receiver drafts to come along ever. The fact that the college landscape is so stacked full of passing offenses, you're getting the fruits of that in terms of receivers. There's so many good wide receivers coming into the NFL as well. So yeah, if you're a team that does need receiver help, it's just a fantastic time to be in that spot because there's so many options.
John, who usually is hosting and interviewing you, he wants to move Quentin Nelson to left tackle. I'm not totally against it, but I think you could find a stopgap in free agency, and I know there are not a lot of names, nowhere near the depth you have a receiver. But if I were Chris Ballard and felt like, okay, I want to allocate my resources elsewhere, could I find a 1 or 2 year stopgap at left tackle in free agency?
You could. There's definitely guys like that available. There's some good left tackles available as well. Guys like, Trent Williams potentially hits the open market, and he was arguably the best left tackle in the NFL this season for the 49ers. I've said before that I think the time to move Quentin Nelson to left tackle would have been when you drafted him. Give him a chance to fail at the more valuable position right out of the gate as he comes into the NFL. I think asking him to make that switch after some, few seasons of all-pro play at guard is a tougher ask. But I think the theory is sound that you want your best players playing the more valuable positions, and it's the reason why everybody says, you don't take a guard in the top 5, 6, 7 picks because it's just not valuable enough. If you're going to take that guy and make him into a tackle where he can move the needle more.
Is Orlando Brown a viable left tackle option?
I mean, he showed this season that he is a viable left tackle option. I think that's what makes him really intriguing. It's definitely notable that, the Baltimore Ravens offense certainly protects offensive linemen, certainly protects their tackles. And it's done that for Orlando Brown. It's done that for Ronnie Stanley. But with Stanley in particular, even when you dived in a little bit deeper than that and you started focusing on the true pass sets and the most disadvantageous positions, he still performed really well. I think Brown has been okay and pretty good in those situations, but he isn't as good as a guy like Stanley, particularly when it comes to pass blocking. But I think he showed this season that he's definitely, a viable starter at left tackle.
Sam, in the edge rushing group, there's 2 guys kind of close by that I'm intrigued by. Carl Lawson for the Bengals, Romeo Cora for the Lions. Where do those 2 guys kind of fall in your edge rushing free agency ranks?
I love Carl Lawson. I think you can make a pretty good case that he is, the second best available free agent edge rusher. I know he's not as big a name as some of these other guys, and he hasn't got the kind of the impact plays and the sacks that some of them have. But I think as a pure pass rusher, he's been more productive than a lot of these players, and a guy that's always graded well in terms of his ability to rush the passer. Aquara is a little bit more interesting. He's still young, but the light really seemed to go on for him towards the end of the season. And he finished the year with a few really spectacular games and some really impressive production as a pass rusher and PFF grades. But it's a really small sample size, and that's just always a gamble because you have to make that call of, did the light go on for them, or did we just ride the high point of the roller coaster of what is, an inconsistent thing in terms of generating pass rush week after week, and is he going to come back down to earth? So, we're really high on Carl Lawson, would happily go after him as a free agent. I think the consistency is there, but acquire is more of a gamble. I don't think it's necessarily a bad gamble, but I think it's definitely more of a gamble.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, join us here on the ride of the JMV. Moving over to quarterback Sam. Given their contract situations right now, would you, if you were the Colts, would you rather trade for Carson Wentz or trade for Sam Darnold?
That's tough. I guess I would rather. I think Wentz can be put back together and be a viable starter pretty quickly. I think Darnold might have the more intriguing long-term upside, but I wouldn't want Darnold starting for me in 2021. I think given what we've seen from him so far, I think if you're going to salvage that guy, he needs to be sort of pieced together from the ground up and probably needs some time sitting behind somebody and developing, not on the field, off the field, taking those mental reps and seeing if you can get him up to the speed of the game and just generally a better performer before he has to play again. So I guess if you need a starter in 2021, I'd be more confident in Wentz.
I know you've been big on Jameis Winston with John. Is there another free agent quarterback that you feel like could walk into a building and potentially lead a team, help a team get to the playoffs here in 2021? Because when you look at the list, assuming Dak Prescott's back to Dallas, boy, it's pretty bleak.
It is, yeah, and obviously that's the big one. If Dak Prescott somehow hits the open market, he's the guy that everybody should be going after because he has some extremely good high-end play. We saw that Andy Dalton can still execute an offense and be okay, but I think the same thing is true with Ryan Fitzpatrick as well. There are players that could start and could potentially be viable, but they're probably not players that are going to elevate a team and potentially come up big at the most critical time. And if you're a team like Indianapolis, it's a good roster. It's capable of going to the playoffs if they have a good quarterback, but it isn't going to be the strongest team in every game they face. They're going to be underdogs against Kansas City. They're going to be underdogs, against one or two other teams as well. And if they make the postseason, you're going to need, a miraculous game from a guy like Fitzpatrick or Andy Dalton or whoever it is to overcome the fact that they will be the underdogs.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. Got to leave you with a little bit of Super Bowl chatter here. It seems like the big matchup on paper, again, non-Mahomes-Brady division, is that Tampa front against the Kansas City banged-up tackle situation. Outside of that, what else are you looking for matchup-wise come Sunday night?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest matchup in terms of helping Tampa Bay maybe spring an upset. They need to show that they can cause that problem on paper to be an actual problem. And then Tampa Bay's defensive backs trying to do a better job than they did the first time around against Kansas City's wide receivers and receiving weaponry. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill absolutely lit those guys on fire the first time around. They need to show that they've figured out the adjustments that can do a better job of stopping them the second game.
You got a pick, Sam?
I think Kansas City wins. I think there's too much in their favor for it to go the other way, but I hope it's at least a close game and the Bucs can threaten it.
Sam, I think John's definitely going to have you on next week to recap everything, and I'm sure we'll chat again throughout the offseason if you don't mind. Always appreciate the time, man.
Sounds good. Take it easy.
That's Sam Monson right there, Pro Football Focus, lead NFL analyst. Always great insight. Yeah, the Carl Lawson name is one that I keep on coming back to. For those that watched late in the year, Steelers-Bengals, I mean, Lawson just was a wrecking ball in that Pittsburgh backfield. And the problem I've had with evaluating the Colts edge rush group is don't look at Justin Houston's sack numbers and think that it was an extremely effective season for Justin Houston. If you look at his quarterback hit numbers, which to me is more indicative of pressure, consistent pressure, Carl Lawson had 32 quarterback hits. Justin Houston had 12. Like, that to me tells much more of the story of what are you doing to disrupt timing. Yes, certainly, getting the quarterback on the ground, all that. Those are huge plays. But if that quarterback hit can lead to an incompletion or a rush throw or a turnover or third down incompletion, something like that, boom, I'm getting a lot more over the course of 16 games out of my edge rusher. So, Houston, I think, has done a lot of good in these 2 seasons. He's played in every game, which is not what I would have expected him walking into. He really struggled with injuries in Kansas City, but 32 years old, I'm with Sam. I think there's actually some younger pass rushers on that open market. Okay, Jacob Eason at 5, Nyheim Hines at 5:30. I mentioned earlier Hines. I think you got to have the conversation for him with a contract extension. And, I say this with a caveat of you didn't give Marlon Mack a contract extension, and he ran for 1,000 yards, 2 years ago, which I don't think the Colts will be giving Nyheim Hines an extension, but I think he's deserving of at least a conversation. He's played in every single game in his 3 NFL seasons. I mean, how many running backs say that? He's versatile. He's unique as a receiver out of the backfield, and I thought he ran it this season the best he's ran it all year long. He didn't have a great rushing performance, as more of that pure runner, even when Marlon was going off a couple years ago, but I thought he was pretty effective, particularly late in the year for you as a runner. So Hines is a guy that, and this, I guess you're talking about the whole 2018 draft class, really. Such a great draft in so many areas for Chris Ballard. You hit the home runs on Nelson and Leonard. Braden Smith is a home run as well. I think all those guys, along with Hines, deserve contract extensions, and you could give them to any of them starting this offseason. Now, how does COVID impact that? That'll be something to keep an eye on, but Leonard, unquestionably, considering his leadership, the ball production, how important that position is to this defense. For a lot of teams, a lot of kind of roster building looks at linebackers, similar to how, you look at offensive guard or center, where you don't need to invest as much resource-wise. The Colts certainly don't think of that, especially at that will linebacker spot where Leonard plays. So, to me, I think Leonard should and will get one. I think Braden Smith, even though he does, you don't hear his name at all, I think Braden Smith deserves a contract extension coming up here this offseason.
What type of money a year do you think a guy like Leonard will get? Because obviously linebacker in the NFL isn't as valued as it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, do you remember what C.J. Mosley got a couple years ago?
I'm looking at it right now. Bobby Wagner is number 1, average $18 million a year. C.J. Mosley, number 2, $17 million a year.
Man, those are some big numbers. Leonard makes less than 2 a year right now.
Leonard this last year was the 26th highest paid inside or just linebacker in general.
That's absurd. How is he not at Wagner's level? Right?
Yeah, you think he's probably going to get that type of money, $18 million a year.
Him and Wagner, I think, are definitely the 2 best linebackers in the league right now. And some might argue that Leonard is better from ball production standpoint, finding the ball. He didn't do that as much this year, but, his ability to force turnovers, his ability as a blitzer. Wagner's probably more consistent.
Another guy, Fred Warner in San Francisco,
yeah.
I think he is eligible for an extension as well. So I bet you they're going to be looking, those 2 contracts are going to be pretty similar.
Whoever sets the market, whoever goes first there. Yeah, that is a good point. And this is what you're going to run into. Someone asked me a few weeks back, do you feel like the Colts roster building has been backwards? I don't know if I'd use backwards as the right term, but it's definitely not modern. Like, Ryan Kelly, highest paid center in the league. Darius Leonard, about to be the highest paid linebacker in the league, you would think. Quentin Nelson, he might get the biggest contract in offensive line history.
If he kicks out to left tackle, I'd say yes. If he stays the left guard, I don't know how you could pay him more than all the left tackles out there.
But if you're his agent, you're saying, wait, how many?
You're trying. Oh, yeah, he's trying.
How many 3-time All-Pros have been in the NFL to start their first 3 years? What's him and Barry Sanders in the last 30-some years? So that's where you get into, again, it might not be backwards, but it is painting you into a corner of, oh boy.
It's backwards right now. When they were building it, you had Andrew Luck at QB, and it was a normal way to build it. But now, obviously, you don't have Luck, so now it's like you're building it backwards.
And this was something to where I think people do forget this, and Chris has said this before. Chris Ballard actually thought that Ryan Grigson had pieces in place to continue to build the offensive line when he first took the job in 2017. I remember the Colts trotted out Raven Clark and Joe Haig, and I mean, that was kind of the O-line, and Jacoby got sacked a million times in that 2017 season, and that was when Chris was like, oh boy, I've got to overhaul the defense, and I've got to overhaul the offensive line. And that 2018 draft, which, again, these guys outside of Nelson, you can pick up Nelson's fifth-year option this offseason. So Nelson technically would not be a free agent until after the 2022 season, if you wanted to, which make tons of sense to go ahead and do that. But Braden Smith and Darius Leonard, those two guys, the second-round picks, is only a 4-year rookie contract. So they are heading into contract years. Michael and Stock Zach Ertz. Michael, welcome to the Ride of JMV. Kevin Bowen filling in.
Appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah.
I keep saying, I know you guys talking wide receiver. I agree. I think we need a weapon, but let's be honest, it's the Colts. They always want to hit us with something out of left field. So what would be the chances of these guys, and I guess it's not even left field, I guess, but what would be the chance of them going after an Ertz, having that connection with Frank and Zach, and then your quarterback? I think it was typical of the Colts. Once again, I bleed blue, don't get me wrong, but I think somebody like a Fitzmagic and then a Corey Davis would be something kind of like up their alley, and it's affordable, one-year prove-it deals, especially for Corey Davis. And then Fitzpatrick's 36. I mean, is that the direct? You think something like that's possible?
Where are you going round one? You going – oh, did we lose him? Michael's out. He didn't want to talk draft. Zach Ertz, yeah, I guess. I would hope you wouldn't have to give up that high of a draft pick. I mean, he's got to be, 30? 29? He's got to be up there a little bit in years. I kind of like Hunter Henry on the open market at tight end, again, knowing full well that the cap situation might not call for that.
Ertz is 31.
Wow, he's older than that. Boy, that's pretty old. I don't, I hear what Michael's saying with the Corey Davis thing. My thinking differs so much from what I think the Colts would do at quarterback. Like, I don't need to see Ryan Fitzpatrick quarterback this team. He's entertaining, sure. Had a hell of a career. The dude's played for 7 AFC teams. I don't need to see him play for an 8th. You guys heard me say it on Friday, and I will continue to reiterate it. Look at the final 4 teams in the NFL. They all made bold moves at quarterback. Buffalo, they're trading up twice and drafting a 50% passer from Wyoming. Kansas City trading up 20 spots with Alex Smith. And they're taking a kid from an air raid offense. People didn't think, is that going to translate to the NFL? Look at Tampa Bay. Is Brady done? Look at how he played in New England last year. Couldn't throw it vertically. Boom. Here's a 2-year deal, Tom. $50 million. And then Green Bay. With Favre, still in his prime, they draft Aaron Rodgers. I think you have to do something bold. In this league, you just look around the AFC. And you look around these final 4 teams. Now, again, this differs, in my opinion, from what I think the Colts feel like maybe is most realistic or helps bridge the gap. I'm fine. Like, I don't know. Did Chargers fans have fun watching Justin Herbert play this year? I would think so, knowing that they're set for the next decade. Wouldn't Colts fans enjoy watching, I don't know, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance play? As long as he showed some, competent level of quarterback play. I don't know how much fun it was watching, Peyton go 3-13 in '98, but as long as you can accept taking a step back from 11-5 in all likelihood, but knowing that there is potential then to get on a run, that to me is better than a Fitzpatrick, a Dalton, a Foles, insert name here. I'll give you 2 or 3 names non-draft wise that I am somewhat intrigued by. Again, casually intrigued, I think is the phrase that I'm going to use. I'll give you that when I come back. Jacob Eason, 5 o'clock. Nyheim Hines, 5:30.
Hey, it's JMV, and it's happening right now through Valentine's Day. You can pick out the most romantic gift, and she's going to love it. And really go big this year, too, because you can spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Imagine this, a $6,000 diamond tennis bracelet, just $100 a month. Just take any item, divide by 60, and that's your super low price. I can't do math, but I can do that math, and what that math is telling me is Diamonds Direct is the place to go for Valentine's Day. Again, fitting any budget, starting as low as $400. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, colored gemstones, the guaranteed largest selection, highest quality, and always the best value, whether you shop in-store or online at diamondsdirect.com. Make this the most memorable Valentine's Day ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing at Diamonds Direct. Details online, diamondsdirect.com. Also find store hours there. It's Diamonds Direct, Keystone at the Crossing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with HeroLoan.com. If you qualify, the VA loan program is the best option out there. You can buy a house with no money down, and you can cash out refinance up to 100% of your home's appraised value. At HeroLoan.com, we pay for your appraisal and can close your VA loan in as little as 14 days. Whether you're refinancing or buying a home, visit HeroLoan.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
We go out as a group of guys and former players, and they are just blown away with how great my hair looks. I did the multi-unit hair grafting because I was tired of having to wear a hat.
My friend Rick DeMulling, Indiana's own former professional football player, and I both know We Grow Hair Indy is the most trusted medical hair restoration clinic and the only company in the Midwest that has the ARTIST robotic FUE and multi-unit hair grafting. Call 888-724-5129 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com. We Grow Hair Indy PRP Treatments helps me keep my non-transplanted hair. Takes about 45 minutes, and this busy world, it's perfect.
Having the hair that I have now has just given me confidence and just making me feel good about myself.
This year, restore your confidence and grow your hair back. Call for a free in-office or virtual evaluation. 888-724-5129 or WeGrowHairIndy.com. Today, that's 888-724-5129.
Let's face it, football fans, 2020 was kind of like... Ouch. But Unibet Sportsbook is betting 2021 is going to be a bit more like... And it starts with the big game. Sign up for $20 free today, $21 on game day, and 2 $250 risk-free bets. Let's do 2021 better. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
You've been lied to. Lied to by corrupt Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine. Hi, I'm Inc. magazine best-selling author Brett Kitchen, and I want to give you a free copy of my brand new book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, because we all know another market crash could be right around the corner. After losing 35% in my IRA in the crash years ago, I said enough, and since then I discovered a way to grow money potentially double digits, reduce taxes dramatically, and also have my money protected when the next stock market crash hits. When the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. Call Wealth Beyond Wall Street now to get your free copy and talk with a specialist to discover this little-known strategy to get potential double-digit growth during good years and never lose when the next stock market crash hits, all while building a tax-advantaged retirement. Call 800-503-2828 to discover this asset that people like Walt Disney and JCPenney use to grow wealthy. Plus, get one of just 97 free books left. We even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call 1-800-503-2828. 1-800-503-2828. That's 1-800-503-2828.
Hi, this is Ryan Newman, NASCAR Cup Series driver and champion for a great cause, driven to save lives and organ donation. Look, what I do is dangerous, and nobody's invincible, but we can all do something incredible to save the lives of others. That's why I want you to take a moment and register yourself as an organ donor, like me, at driventosavelives.org. You might just become somebody's real hero.
Sports with Dan Dakich.
Would you all just be completely, ridiculously disappointed if it ended up being Jacoby Brissett? Would it be like, I'm not getting interested until and if the Colts win a few games with this guy? I don't know, but I think the more this goes on, the more it's a real possibility Jacoby's going to be in the mix.
Dan Dakich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Couple open segments right here, so phone lines will be open. 317-239-1070. Again, K Bowen 1070 on Twitter. Jacob Eason joining us at 5. Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Our Pacers coverage tonight begins at 7:30. Grizzlies in town, winners of 7 in a row. Kind of shocked by that. Looking at their lineup that last night, scored 133 and barely heard of half the guys. Starting Xavier Tillman from Michigan State.
You wonder if about 5 years people are going to say, man, how did Zion go number 1 and Ja went number 2?
Yeah, little Durant Odin situation. We'll see health-wise, but yeah. John Morant, because that's a banged-up Memphis team right now. I forgot that Sean McDermott is on the Grizzlies from Butler. He's hurt right now. I think a shoulder issue, but tough week coming up for the Pacers. Back-to-back, again, Memphis tonight, at the Bucks tomorrow, and then the Jazz, and then I think they got Brooklyn, I want to say, next Wednesday as well. John chimes in, who would you rather have heading into next season, DeForest Buckner or Tampa Bay tackle Tristan Wirfs, who was taken with the number 13 pick? Well, 13 was Javon Kinlaw. That was the Colts' old pick. Wirfs was right around there, though. Yeah, I'd probably rather have Buckner. I think Buckner does a whole lot for this defense. But I've said it to John, and I've certainly said it on these airwaves a whole lot. I thought that was the biggest. I thought it was the biggest personnel mistake Ballard made last offseason, was not addressing tackle in a more serious manner, offensive tackle. Like, to me, Danny Pinter should have been a tackle. Now, it worked out. Like, you really needed Jonathan Taylor, and you really needed Julian Blackmon because of injuries. But, if Marlon Mack stays healthy, if Malik Hooker stays healthy, that would just shown you even more how much you needed an offensive tackle. And I thought, ultimately, your lack of tackle depth cost you. It probably cost you the AFC South. And what happens? You get a home game in round 1, who knows? Bratzu says, should the Colts have traded up from 13 to 3 or 4 for Justin Herbert versus Buckner, and where we are at now? We had 2 second-round picks. Yeah, obviously hindsight is super 2020, but I felt like we were quickly, when the Colts made that trade, so many people were just so quick to say, oh, it's an all-pro at 13 overall. You're not going to get an all-pro there. And I'm like, no, that's such short-sighted thinking. Look bigger than that, people. You just went 7-9. And your plan is to sign Phillip Rivers at quarterback. So you aren't going to be drafting that high. Again, and obviously they're not. They're drafting 21 versus 13. When you're at 13, and obviously moving up from 13 to, what would you have got to? 5, right? Tua went 5. Justin Herbert went 6. 13 to 5 is a whole lot easier than 21 to wherever you're going to have to go this year. That, to me, again, I thought was a little bit more of a, let's not jump to this conclusion of, oh, yes, 13th pick for DeForest Buckner. Of course you do that. No questions asked. Buckner was a stud. But when you're that high and you do have that additional second-round pick draft-wise, again, moving from 13 to the top 5 is much more manageable than the situation the Colts are in right now. Where it's like, okay, how high do you have to get up? Do you have to get all the way up to 4 in Atlanta, to 3 in Miami? Can you risk going to 6 or 7 with Philly and Detroit if you think they're going to keep, Carson Wentz and Jared Goff? And, of course, Philip Rivers plays 1 year for you. So, again, hindsight is so 20/20 on that, but at the time, I think everyone wanted to crown it. Oh, unquestionably, you do this trade 10 times out of 10. When you don't have the long-term quarterback answered, it's not that simple of unquestionably the trade is a success. Let's go to Kurt. What's up, Kurt?
Hey, guys. Long-time listener. You guys do a great job. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, Kurt.
I got a little bit of a different take, or maybe it's not different, on this whole quarterback thing. When you look at all these names in the free agent market or potential trades being floated around, these journeyman quarterbacks, or even guys like Ryan and Dalton, Fitzpatrick, you name it. I think if the Colts make a move on something like that, one of those guys, you're pretty much just sending a message to all of your fan base that you're not in it to win it this year, or any year for that matter. And that's, these guys are not accomplished winning quarterbacks. They're, we all know that, they're fill-ins, and we're kind of tired of fill-ins. I really like the Justin Fields opportunity, but the question I've got for you guys is, something a little different twist. How about Jalen Hurts? We don't hear anything about potentially trading for him. Is that possible?
Kurt, I think Nick Sirianni's going to keep both those quarterbacks, to be honest with you. I just don't think they're sold on Carson Wentz and or Jalen Hurts, and I would be surprised if they gave up on Hurts after just 1 year. But right. I will agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. To me, if you're going to make the Band-Aid move, which for lack of a better term, those quarterbacks you just rattled off, they're all Band-Aids. None of them are the long-term answer. If that Band-Aid is not doing what Tom Brady's doing with the Bucs, or getting you to the point where you can make a deep January run, then I don't see why you're just kicking the can down the street a little bit, further for the long-term quarterback need.
Exactly, yeah. And going into a new season, you always want to have, your fan base being fresh and excited and, thinking that there's, potentially a really good end to this. But, if Dalton's your quarterback, that's not going to happen. It's just that's not the way these guys, any of those guys that you're talking about, have performed. So, I think that you're right on the bold move. I had thought about Jalen Hurts. I didn't know how available he might be. I don't even know that he's not proven, but those guys are proven, those other guys. And of course, Justin Fields is not proven at this level, but I think he's a really tough player that's got a lot of physical skills.
I would agree. Appreciate it, Kurt.
All right, thank you.
It's funny. I don't know if it's funny. It might actually be sad, but I had someone tweet at me, I don't know, over the weekend or something. I think when the whole Stafford trade went down, they said it cannot be overstated how badly Andrew Luck screwed this franchise. It's so true. And honestly, it comes down to, more so than anything, just really it's the timing of it all. Like, if Luck decides to retire in February 2019 or January, or hell, even the first couple weeks of March before free agency starts, at least you've got free agency in 2019 and the draft in 2019 to kind of plan where the future is going to be at quarterback. Because you had that extra second-round pick in 2019 as well. So, and what, you traded out around 1, right? Yeah. You traded back, took Rock Yassin, and oof. But yeah, it's just so true. Luck just needs to come back just to cure all this. No? And then everybody be like, oh God, he's gonna retire again. Shane, what about Jameis Winston at quarterback? Threw for 5,000 yards last season. Who's a starter? Probably not going to throw 30 picks every year. Could probably get him somewhat cheap and add a receiver. I mean, isn't Winston going to start in New Orleans?
Didn't Sean Payton say Taysom Hill is a starting QB in the NFL? That's why they paid him all that money, right?
Yeah. I feel like they got to go with Winston. I forgot how old Taysom Hill is. He's on the Rob Morris BYU. When you draft him, you're like, oh gosh.
It's like, who's that QB the Cowboys took? Brandon Weeden? Wasn't he almost 28 years old when they took him in the first round?
Chris Weinke was really old. Brandon Weeden, I'm pretty sure, is the same draft as Luck.
I think Weeden was 28 years old when he came out.
Let's go to who's been hanging on there, Raymond or Trevor? Let's go with Raymond. What's up, Raymond?
Hey, KB.
How you doing, man?
All right. Love the podcast that you have on YouTube.
I appreciate that.
I haven't seen it up in a few weeks. I guess we ain't had any coach content.
Oh, no, man. It is up there. It's up there. Check it out.
Okay. I'll get in there and check it out. But what I called to say is, doesn't it seem like the coach don't know what they're doing, or does it seem like Chris Ballard is like a mastermind and just has this whole thing under wraps?
Well, boy, I mean, if he's a mastermind, I don't think it's either of those, to be honest with you, Raymond. It's got to be somewhere to the point where you're in a position right now where largely it's out of your control. It's a two-way street for the Colts with a lot of this. The Matthew Stafford trade would have been a two-way street. If you got to trade up in the draft, you need another playing partner. Unless you're going to convince someone in free agency, you're going to have someone else that's willing to go down this road with you. So I think that's
know what, KB? Let me bring this up to you. That Matthew Stafford trade. I called JMV last week and told him it was Stafford or bust. And it seems like we're almost leaning towards the bust category. But I think with that Stafford trade, and we have pick 21, and what the Rams gave up, doesn't it seem like that should be enough to move up in the draft? So just this year's first, next year's first, and maybe a second or third rounder in this year or next year's draft, shouldn't that be enough to at least help us get up inside the top 10?
I would think that package, number 21 overall, next year's first, like you said, maybe a third rounder, a second rounder, that can get you to about 7 or 8, I would think.
And isn't that because I've been listening, and it seems like that's the same thing that got Kansas City up from 27 to 10.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, Kansas City went flying up. I think that's a similar trade package. Houston went up in that same draft as well. So, thank you, Raymond, for the call. I mean, there has to be so many plans that Chris Ballard and his operation have to have, because you can't put all your eggs, obviously, into a Matthew Stafford basket, or even all your eggs into a big trade-up basket. I mean, I don't say this at all acting like it's easy to hit on that guy in the draft. But with Frank Reich and his quarterback background, and one of the deeper draft classes that we feel like we've seen, I mean, 5, 6 quarterbacks maybe in round 1? You can't tell me that one of those guys, 2 of those guys don't fit what you're looking for. And again, development with Frank and his quarterback background. I know it's not easy, but that to me is where I would be focused right now. Trevor, John, we'll get to you guys when we come back. And Jacob Eason at 5 o'clock, Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Kevin Bowen filling in for John.
Need plans for the big game coming up on Sunday, February 7th? Head to the fan contest page today to win a $250 gift card from Twin Peaks to be used on that night for you and 9 guests.
Hey, it's JMV for the best. Andy Moore Buick GMC 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers. And my friend Eric Wilson and the gang are dealing right now. How about 0%, 72 months on all half-ton crew cab trucks. Brand new Acadia SLE, 0 down payment, only $249 per month, and up to $10,000 off brand new 2020 Buick Envisions. See dealer for all the details. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
Small business owners, is your internet making office tasks painfully slow? Are your file upload speeds sluggish? Are your video calls choppy? You need more speed. AT&T Business Fiber gives you up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. Faster upload speeds mean smoother, less glitchy video conferencing and faster file transfers. Visit att.com/businessfast or call 844-661-FAST to get our best price on our best service. Imagine it, up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. AT&T experts can help you upgrade to AT&T Business Fiber. Soon, you're going to love your internet. Call 844-661-FAST now. Comparison by Telogical Systems, 12-2020.
It's Terry Stacy for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. Owner Dave Magine says regular maintenance is so important.
What a lot of people don't realize is how much abuse your furnace is taking because they're not around it all day long. They don't realize how many times that thing turns off and on all day long. You're in your car, you know how much abuse your car takes, so you get it in for regular maintenance and all, but nobody really realizes what their furnace goes through.
Visit BigBlackTrucks.com. B&W, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Hockey and basketball fans love scoring in nets, but what else do they have in common? A chance for an easy 100 from BetMGM. Register for the King of Sportsbooks and win $100 in free bets when you place a $1 moneyline wager on the Pacers-Grizzlies game. And if either team hits a three, you win. Simply sign up using the bonus code BIGJOE100 when you make that first bet to take advantage of this offer. Now, maybe you got more in common with table tennis fans. You know, that was a Stasiak family Christmas present this year. No matter what your sport, BetMGM is where the stakes are always raised. So enjoy innovative parlay selection features, boosted odds specials for major payouts, daily promotions, and more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com to use that bonus code BIGJOE100 to win $100 in free bets when you wager $1 on either Indiana or Memphis to hit a three. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years of age or older to wager, and if you know someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Don Fisher here for Indiana University basketball. Join us tonight for all the action with IU meeting Illinois in a very important Big Ten clash with the pregame at 8 p.m., followed by the tip at 9 on our sister station, 93.1 FM WIBC.
Hey, it's John for Love Heating and Air. John and Chris Love with the best service this time of year, making sure you're warm and toasty in your home, and that no-cost second opinion at 317-353-2141. And if you mention my name, you'll get $125 off the most advanced air purification system that's out there. That's iWave. Right now, use my name, Love Heating and Air Conditioning, 317-353-2141, online, love-hvac.com.
Hey, join me tomorrow. We're going to continue fussing and arguing and tweeting and insulting. That's what we did today, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow. Join me noon to 3.
The Ride with JMV.
Bullish Brand's hanging and banging with you until the 8 o'clock hour. Coming up, we have artists such as Living Color and the Fine Young Cannibals right now. Here's Roxette, The Look, 89.9 WROL.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Let's do it.
About 15 minutes. Jacob Eason joining us. Top of the hour here on the Ride with JMV. Nyheim Hines at 5:30. We'll have an open segment here. And then back-to-back Colt players join us here. Looking forward to both of those conversations. Let's get to Trevor. I know he's been hanging on for a while here. Trevor, welcome to the Ride with JMV.
KB, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. I love your show. Just thought I'm a loyal listener. Just thought I'd let you know that.
Thank you for that. It means a lot, man.
Absolutely. So I got a couple scenarios for you right now. So number one, would you like maybe an option to trade up in the draft and get a Trey Lance at pick number 8? And then number two, how would you feel about a Chris Godwin signing from Chris Ballard? So you're looking at like T.Y. Hilton, Chris Ballard, or T.Y. Hilton, Chris Godwin, and Michael Pittman as your top 3.
Well, let's start here. And thank you for the call, Trevor. I appreciate that, and for your listenership. Yeah, I would like that trading up to 7, 8, right around there. Trey Lance is intriguing me. If I were going to rank, I think, the quarterbacks after Lawrence, I'd probably go Fields, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance in that order for me. I don't love really with Wilson, and this is just out of the control, or Lance, that just their level of competition. I mean, look at BYU's schedule this year. It's a joke, some of those teams that they played. So I don't love that, but, that's just part of it. But I think both have some very, very impressive traits. And it goes back to kind of what Marcus Brady was, talking with us about on Friday, about that live arm, the off-platform stuff, particularly with Fields and Wilson. I mean, both those guys can really make some of those throws. And I think there's a lot to like about Lance and in that system. And I know the Colts have been, I would say they definitely have a lot of interest in Fields, but there's definitely some interest in Trey Lance as well. So, yeah, I wouldn't, I think if you get up to 8th pick, I believe, is that Carolina? Do they have the 8th pick? Yeah, Philly has the 6th, Detroit has the 7th pick. Yeah, I think Carolina is certainly in the quarterback market. Again, they were rumored to have the 8th pick up for Matthew Stafford.
Did you see the reporting yesterday that it was getting close between the Lions almost took the Panthers' offer
with that 8th pick?
With that 8th pick in the 3rd rounder, I think it was. They sent Stafford's medicals down to Carolina.
No, I did not see that. But yeah, I mean, what about Teddy Bridgewater then? I mean, these are some of the names. And again, I posted something on 1075thefan.com. These are the free agents that I mentioned. Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Cam Newton, Dak Prescott, who I assume will be back with the Cowboys, Mitchell Trubisky, Jameis Winston. If you haven't puked in your car, those are the free agent names. Your potential trade options: Teddy Bridgewater, and again, I say potential, I mean, this is very loose. Maybe Derek Carr. I don't know. It seems like the Raiders are dumb enough to trade him. Sam Darnold, as Jimmy Cook takes a full lap around the studio, he's going to, I don't know if he's trying to get his steps in here or what he's doing. Or if another Chiefs player tested positive and he's just super nervous or something. Sam Darnold, Nick Foles, Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan. I put Deshaun Watson, but then I put LOL. And then Carson Wentz. I think Derek Carr is the most intriguing to me. Of the real, and again, I put realistic here very loosely. The whole Carson Wentz, Derek, Sam Darnold thing is interesting. I probably like Wentz better as a player than Darnold, but I like the financials of Darnold much better than I do Carson Wentz. I think Wright could resurrect Wentz. But that's a big contract that you're bringing on. Big contract. Let's go to Ken on line 1. How you doing, Ken?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, it's Tim. Starts with a T-I-M, Tim.
Oh, sorry about that. What's up, Tim?
That's okay. Well, my suggestion, whether it's Dalton, Fitzpatrick, somebody you could get fairly, or Jamison Winston, it's somebody you get fairly cheap, and try to get Eason a year as backup, give him some reps and a chance to see what he can do. I mean,
so you wouldn't draft a QB?
No, I don't think we've got enough. What do we have? Number one at 21, and then what else do we have?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to trade some future picks. I mean, trust me. While I'm team draft, I fully acknowledge that the needs don't stop at quarterback. I mean, they're the left tackle, long-term need, edge rusher, cornerback. Yeah,
20. I've always thought we should use 21 to try to get a left tackle. I understand it's not that deep this year, but maybe you could trade 21 for a left tackle. So.
Oh, I think it's actually a decent left tackle draft class from everything that I've heard. It's actually a decent year for that. And I keep on going back to the Joe Wright's quote. I think he said with John when he came on that offensive linemen are made, but left tackles are born. They're just a different breed. I know Quentin Nelson wanted to play left tackle when he first got to Notre Dame. He wasn't too happy that they moved him to guard, but how's his mind changed after 3 years of being an all-pro guard in the NFL?
Yeah, that's one thing I first questioned when they talked about that, even after the experiment at Oakland, was does he really want to do it? I mean, you have to have him in on it to make it successful.
Appreciate the call, Tim.
Thank you.
Let's go to Mike. Mike, what do you got?
Yes. Hey, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing every time Jameis Winston's name's brought up, we start talking about 30 interceptions. This guy threw for 5,000 yards. If you look at his first 5 years and Peyton Manning's first 5 years, they match up like a T. That kid is a franchise quarterback, and we need to get him, especially if we can get him for cheap, and we won't have to give up anything for him.
Mike,
I get sick of
Mike, I must have missed the MVP season for Jameis. When did that come?
You missed the 5,000 yards. You missed the 5,000 yard season too, huh?
Yeah, and the 30 interceptions too, and the 28 and 42 record.
Peyton Manning had 2 years of 20-plus interceptions in his first 5 years.
20,
2 years of it.
20-plus isn't 30 picks in year 5.
20. He had 23 1 year. I forget. That was 4 or 5 for him. He had 29 his rookie year. Jameis didn't have 29 his rookie year. He had 15.
But he had 30 in year 5. That's not the ascension that I want.
But why can't we talk about this kid's upside? We talk about everybody else's upside.
Because I'm afraid it's going downside. If he had 30 interceptions in year 5, isn't that going down?
Cam Newton has never been the thrower of the football that kid is. Teddy Bridgewater has never been the thrower of the football that kid is. I don't know what the media's thing against him is, but he's only had 1 year of that. He's played in the league 5 years. Bruce Arians is very overrated. We're seeing that now. Once Brady implemented what he did in New England, that's when Tampa Bay took off.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. Jameis Winston, I believe. I would have to double check this, and I am not like anti-Jameis Winston. Like I don't know. Mike all of a sudden turned that call into, but yeah, Mike's just got to dial it back a little bit there. I think the highest interception rate in NFL over the last 15 years, I believe, Jameis Winston. 5 years is a pretty big sample size. Boy, the old Peyton comparison. Jeez. Oh, man. Mike was fired up, though. He might be calling back there. Jacob Eason going to join us here in a few minutes. We'll have Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Curious what you guys think about Jacob. And we'll have that conversation here in a little bit. And then, like I said, Nyheim Hines as well. Yeah, I mean, if I'm going, and again, the Raiders have got to dangle it, but Derek Carr would be the name that I would like the most out of those kind of, I don't know, 6 or 7 free agents, 6 or 7 trade options. I hope Notre Dame basketball plays with the same passion Mike just brought. I'm a big, we got the Irish against Wake Forest here coming up. Oh, boy. People are tweeting in the old Peyton Jameis stats. I will say this. I think the quarterback position's evolved a lot, too, since Peyton Manning's first 5 years and Jameis Winston's first 5. And I just think that's where you run into of like, okay, is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer, in the next 10 years if he keeps on playing? The quarterback stats are going to get a little skewy here. Let's sneak one more in, Kyle, before we take a break here. William, let's talk Quentin Nelson. Hey. What's up, William?
Hey, Kevin. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Big fan.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, I'm not going to scream at you about Jameis Winston, but Quentin Nelson, I'm kind of on the fence whether he should move to left tackle or not. I feel like it's a debate between, does the whole O-line get worse if he goes to left tackle and isn't, the same star-powered player, and then whoever's filling in for him at left guard is obviously not Quentin Nelson. So is it a net win? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, William, that you make. And he's such a focal point in the run game because as a guard, he can pull, and yeah, you can pull at tackle, but it's a lot easier to pull in multiple directions from guard than it is at tackle. And while everyone wants to seem like it's just a seamless move, and if you're a great athlete, you should be able to make it, it's not that simple. And when you've played at the Hall of Fame caliber like he has at guard, if now he goes to a middle-of-the-pack left tackle and Danny Pinter slides into the starting lineup and is a middle-of-the-pack guard, now you've got a very average left side of the line, whereas you just had arguably the best left side of the line in all of football. So I'm with you. I understand why John brings it up so often because, again, financially, it would be great if you could pay Quentin Nelson the type of money he's going to garner at left guard or left tackle, and he could move over there, and you could slide in Danny Pinter into left guard. But to me, there's a lot more than just all of a sudden, number 56, who's played 10 snaps of left tackle in the last 7 years, you're asking him to move over there.
So would you say leave him at left guard? Was that where you would line up?
Yeah, I'm going stopgap at left tackle, realizing that there's a lot of needs that I need to cross. And thank you, William, for the call. There's a lot of needs to cross off this offseason and then down the road. And I'd probably draft a tackle, 4th round, develop. Someone mentioned David Bakhtiari was a 4th round pick for the Packers. I'm not expecting your 4th round tackle to be the answer, but bring him in here, see if you can develop somebody. And I don't know, wasn't Ryan Deem a 4th round pick? He wasn't a left tackle, but just try and see if at the bare minimum it's a better version of Joe Haig coming out of this 2020 draft. All right, we come back here on the Ride of JMV. Jacob Eason going to join us. Curious your guys' thoughts on that. Nyheim Hines at 5:30. Kevin Bowen filling in today for John, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Sports with Dan Dockich.
Benetti.
High Point was going to go play Dayton, and we had our plane tickets ready, and I get a phone call, hey, some of the guys need to go to class, so we can't fly. I was like, well, what? Can I fly? And they're like, no, we canceled the tickets. We're going to bus. And I was like, we are going to what? And so we got on a bus from High Point, North Carolina to Dayton, Ohio.
Dan Dockich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We go out as a group of guys and former players, and they are just blown away with how great my hair looks. I did the multi-unit hair grafting because I was tired of having to wear a hat.
My friend Rick DeMully, Indiana's own former professional football player, and I both know We Grow Hair Indy is the most trusted medical hair restoration clinic and the only company in the Midwest that has the ARTIST robotic FUE and multi-unit hair grafting. Call 888-724-5129 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com. We Grow Hair Indy PRP Treatments helps me keep my non-transplanted hair. Takes about 45 minutes, in this busy world, it's perfect.
Having the hair that I have now has just given me confidence and just making me feel good about myself.
This year, restore your confidence and grow your hair back. Call for a free in-office or virtual evaluation. 888-724-5129 or WeGrowHairIndy.com. Today, that's 888-724-5129.
Take your romance game to a whole new level this Valentine's with Diamonds Direct's most popular offer ever. 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase happening right now. You know jewelry is the perfect gift to celebrate your love. And with this incredible offer, you can afford to go big. Like a $6,000 diamond tennis bracelet, just $100 a month. Or a $3,000 pair of diamond earrings, just $50 a month. Diamonds Direct has teamed up with the world's top jewelry designers for an expanded selection of Valentine's surprises for any budget. Romantic gifts starting as low as $400. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, colored gemstones. The guaranteed largest selection, highest quality, and always the best value. Whether you shop in store or online at DiamondsDirect.com. Make this the most memorable Valentine's ever with 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase, including engagement rings. Now through Valentine's Day. Celebrate your love at Diamonds Direct.
Keystone at the Crossing.
The 55th big game is this weekend, and to celebrate football's finale, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is doubling your money if a touchdown is scored in the big game. That's right. All it takes is for one touchdown to be scored Sunday night, and boom, your money is doubled. As if this game wasn't enough reason to party, with double the cash you'll be celebrating till next season. And don't forget about DraftKings Big Game Prediction Challenge with up to $55 million in total prizes up for grabs and instant prizes for everyone who enters the contest. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code WFNI to get a shot at doubling your money if a touchdown is scored in Sunday's game. That's code WFNI to get a shot at doubling your money only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You got to be 21 or older, Indiana only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/prediction-challenge-DFS for details. Gambling problem, 800-9-WITH-IT.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC, HD2, W298BB, WIBC, HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Coming up Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. right here on The Fan. Join the Jeff and Big Joe Morning Show as we talk to Tony Dungy, the legendary Colts coach and Super Bowl champion, right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Nachos, lemon heads, my dad's boat. You won't go down cause my
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
And welcome back to the Ride with JMV. Kevin Bowen filling in today for John. And let's head to the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline with, I guess he's the only Colt quarterback currently under contract right now. He is Jacob Eason joining us today, courtesy of Panini. Jacob, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. What's the offseason been like so far now? I guess about a month into it.
Yeah, I mean, I took a couple weeks there in the beginning just to kind of reflect and take some personal time and hang out with some family and you know, my girlfriend and lay low for a bit. But now we're getting back into the swing of things, kind of picking things up, you know, making sure I'm staying in shape and get back out in the field and going through the route trees and all that good stuff. So, you know, still got a lot of room and time to improve and grow. And I'm looking forward to getting back in there, back out to California and back to work soon.
Will you train in Cali or will you be in Indy much?
I'll be, you know, back and forth, obviously with our schedules coming up, but I'll be most of the time in California.
Chris Ballard talked at the end of the offseason about how he was really struck by kind of your exit meetings and felt like you learned a lot this season and really appreciated some of the answers that you gave to him. I guess what did you tell Chris in those exit meetings, and how would you summarize a year that might have been a red shirt, you know, from a playing standpoint, but I'm sure not really mentally?
Yeah, I mean, I had great exit meetings with all my coaches and our GM Chris Ballard. You know, it's basically we kind of just discussed what had happened this season. You know, it was a unique year in terms of not having a preseason and not having OTAs and all that stuff. We had virtual OTAs, you know, what should you call it? But you know, I think the biggest thing for me was the visualization and seeing the, you know, the mental side of the game and how, you know, Phillip and Jacoby and how these coaches coach and all those things. It was huge for me just to kind of go in and dissect that and learn and grow. Like every day, just being in the meetings with those guys and seeing how, you know, how they handled the everyday life of, you know, of being a professional quarterback was big for me. So, you know, take that all. And you know, I wrote down a lot of things this season and, you know, being able to take what I learned this year and head into the off season and get ready for next year will be huge for me.
Take me inside those meeting rooms. Are you asking a bunch of questions? Are you just kind of a sponge soaking it all in? What's that like given?
Yeah, I wasn't a huge question asker this year, you know, just because I am a rookie and it was more Phillip's show because he was the starter. So I'd say, yeah, it was more of a sponge this year and a sponge with a pen pad and a notebook or whatever you call it. No, it was a great year in terms of my development from the mental side of the game, like I mentioned before. You know, a lot of back and forth between OC, head coach, you know, Phillip and our QB coach. So, you know, just being in those meetings and seeing the questions Phillips was asking, seeing what we're putting on tape and how, you know, how Phillips is implementing that into the game plan, it was huge for me. So I think it was a tremendous year in terms of development and growth.
If you had to narrow it down to maybe one or two things that really struck you about Phillips' prep, what would that be?
That's a tough question. There's so many good qualities in Philip that it's hard to dissect one or two. But I think, his consistency, not only in his preparation, but as a leader and a vocal guy in the locker room, and just his physical prowess. Obviously, he'd been in the league for 17 years, so guys knew who he was. But he was just a very consistent person, which was awesome to see. Every day he had the same attitude. His schedule was the same every single day. So just watching how he handled things, and the wins and the losses, that's another important thing. It's a game about winning, but seeing how a guy like that handles a loss is another key thing. So, it was a very tremendous year in terms of those things.
Jacob Eason joined us here on the ride of the JMV. Thanks to Panini for helping us out with this interview. For those that don't know, Jacob, what are you doing today with Panini?
So I'm down here in Dallas with a handful of other rookies from this last year's class, signing some autographs, hanging out, talking ball with these guys and having some fun. It's good to get down here and connect with these guys and, ask them how their seasons went. I haven't seen them since, the draft and the combine and all that stuff. So it's been a good couple of days.
I have these stories. I remember riding the bus in elementary school and ripping some kid off for a Marvin Harrison rookie card. It still kind of keeps me up at night, which shows you probably how big of a loser I am. But did you collect cards back in the day?
I did. I wasn't humongous in collecting them, but I definitely had a couple binders full. My biggest guy was Peyton Manning, so I remember having 6 or 7 sheets full of his cards, which was awesome back in the day.
And obviously Peyton definitely going into the Hall of Fame this weekend as a first ballot guy. Transitioning back to that rookie year, I remember being at those Lucas Oil practices you had and really threw the ball really well. And I felt like maybe that was like your only real practice time, because you ran the scout team, right? When Philip got hurt a little bit.
Towards the tail end of the year. Yeah.
So I guess what was a normal week like for Jacob Eason, Monday through Saturday?
It was the same as everyone else, just showing up, because, especially this year, you never know what's going to happen. One guy could test positive, that could lead to, 3 other guys sitting out. So it was a very unique year in that sense. My process was, I'm not the starter this year, but I'm going to prepare like I am and still actively participate in meetings, not asking a ton of questions, but mentally being locked in and loaded. So, from the preparation standpoint, I prepared like, I was going to go out there on Sundays, obviously I didn't, and then when it was Sundays, I had the call sheet and all that good stuff. And I was watching and trying to learn and see the dialogue that, what Philip was doing and this and that. So I think, from the preparation standpoint and being in a room with those guys, it was huge.
I talked to Marcus Brady last week. He mentioned kind of footwork, maybe being the biggest physical aspect to it. Would you narrow that down to kind of the biggest physical thing you wanted to work on in your rookie year?
Yeah. I think there's always room for improvement in everything, whether it's the fundamentals and the mechanical side of the game or the mental side of the game, and I try to take, 1 or 2 things a day and work on those things. Yeah. Marcus is really good at coaching the fundamentals and physical side of the game. And we went out there and practiced 3 or 4 days a week, whatever, depending on the week and worked on those things. So going into the off season, I got a handful of things I've written down that I want to, start working on and we'll go from there.
Individually, what would you say is your biggest goal going into year 2?
I think my biggest goal is just to be as prepared as possible for whatever might happen. There's no telling, what goes on. And I think just from my perspective, I think just being as prepared as possible for whatever the situation may be. And then when the opportunity presents itself, then go take it. So, I'm excited to get back to Indy and obviously attack this off season.
You mentioned that list. What are maybe some of those things on the list that you're really focusing on?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too much detail, but from the mechanical side of things, it's just, being more consistent, consistently throwing those accurate balls and making sure my feet are set underneath me. And, I think there's a handful of things that go along with the fundamental side of things that kind of all connect together. And so it'll be really honing in on the small details of being consistent, being accurate and all those good things from the footwork, from the ground up. And then obviously the mental side of the game, there's always room for improvement, whether it's protections, seam coverage, going through, our own progressions and all that stuff. So there's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to continuing to improve on this off season. And yeah.
We'll end with this. You got a favorite spot in Indy? I know obviously it was a kind of a crazy year, but
It was. Favorite spot, obviously St. Elmo's is a big one. I went there for a couple times this offseason, but this season. It's hard. It was hard to get out and get around there just because, I was trying to stay COVID safe and, there's a lot of responsibility on the line there. So hopefully next year things will be a little bit different as to where we can, go out with and be around people. So I'll give you a better answer next year.
I think I speak for everyone in Colts Nation. They're excited to see you on the field. Hopefully first and, maybe OTAs, training camp, but certainly the preseason, get some game action. So appreciate the time today, Jacob, and enjoy the offseason, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kevin.
It's Jacob Eason right there. Join us on the ride with JMV. Unfortunately, just 10 minutes with Jacob due to his Panini partnership there, but I still appreciate the time. I don't think we had heard from him all season long in any of the Zoom stuff that the Colts did or anything like that. So, I thought the thing that really stood out to me, just Phillip Rivers related, was just the consistency win or loss. I think Jacob has a long way to go. And again, this is part of just any sort of college quarterback in learning what it takes to be a professional QB. And I think at times we overlook that aspect to it. It's not just the big arm and, oh my gosh, in a 7-on-7 setting, it's beautiful. And when he's wearing the red jersey, he makes these throws outside the numbers that are, take your breath away. Yeah, he does that. But there's a whole lot more about being the face of the franchise that I do feel like when I heard him say that consistency from Rivers, win or loss, it sounds so cliche, but it's so true. Something I've brought up with John before when I've talked about Eason. If you look at the last 4 years of football for Jacob Eason, out of a possible 55 games he could have played in those 4 years, he played in 16 of them. And think about that, 16 of 55 games. That's not a lot of experience. I think of all the quarterbacks drafted last year, I believe he had the second fewest amount of games started in college. There was 14 quarterbacks drafted last year. He had the second fewest. So you can look at it two ways. Oh, he's got all this room for growth. That's one way, certainly. And then the other way is, oh boy, he needs game reps to develop. And that's why just the whole stunting of COVID and the lack of a off-season program and all of that, no preseason reps for him, just absolutely just sucked. So yeah, curious your guys' thoughts again. Bowen 1070 on Twitter. We'll have Nyheim Hines join us here on at the bottom of the hour. But I was glad that we were able to squeeze that squeeze the Eason interview in. I was hoping it would have been a little bit longer there, but you know him. He was a bit close to the vest with a few of those things. Going back and watching him at Washington again, I really liked when it was just 1-2 reads, clean pocket. That ball's whistling, it's humming, it's coming out, and there's just a rhythm and a velocity that you love from him at quarterback. When a little bit more was on his plate, a little bit of pressure, he's got to make some reads pre-snap, post-snap. That's when things got a little bit more difficult for him. And again, it's all twofold there. It's Washington was terrible on third down with him at quarterback, and they were terrific in the red zone. Which to me, those things mostly correlate, typically, are a little bit more on the same page. So I did think that was interesting how just drastically different that was there. But that's what you have to hope. You have to hope that his year-long experience in that meeting room was just sponge, soaking it all in. And now, how can you translate that when those reps are going to come? Let's get Michael in here. Let's talk a little bit. Jacob Eason. What's up, Michael?
I was just going to say, why not just try Eason out next year? Because, I mean, as we all know, the free agent market for quarterbacks is terrible right now. Not much you could trade for. Why? I mean, I don't know if you could do a whole lot worse than trying to, throw him in there and see what happens.
Yeah, Michael, I don't think it's the craziest idea, but I just can never see the Colts committing to that.
I can't either. And I mean, Brissett could still be there as a backup. I don't know why they wouldn't just roll the dice, see what happens with him, and it could be a great play for them. I mean, they don't know unless they try.
Part of me says this, Michael. Had Eason gone back to Washington, plays another 13 games, could he have gone in the second round? Could he have gone in the first round? Would we be discussing him amongst these names right now? Like,
right?
Where was Zach Wilson this time last year? Where was Joe Burrow? And you have some of this to where guys just have a natural maturation, whether to their games or just what they realize the opportunity is there, all of that. And I guess that's what makes finding a quarterback so difficult, because you don't know when that light switch is going to come on. So appreciate the call, Michael.
All right, thanks, man.
Hey, he's a pretty well-spoken kid, Eason, too. He's very polished, and I am just I don't know, Kyle. You hate to call it immaturity. I don't know if it's necessarily that, but there's just a level of professionalism that you've got to rise to as an NFL quarterback. In other positions, you can maybe get away with not being that type of leader and not bringing it Monday through Saturday as well as on Sundays. And I just think that's a tad bit of a concern I have with him. And he's been thrown in some wild environments. I mean, think about it. Start as a true freshman in the SEC. Can you imagine? 3 time zones away from home. That's quite the experience. And then you come home, then you transfer home, and you start for your hometown team. And those are 2 pretty big situations to walk into when you're talking college football. So, but yeah, really, it's the fact that he just barely practiced last year. 6 times, and those are scout team reps, not even running this Colts offense. Like going back to Michael's point, that's what you're getting with. If you were going to literally put a number down on the amount of reps that Rivers or Brissett or Eason took with the starting offense last year, I mean, we watched, unless I'm mistaken, I think we watched every training camp practice last year. And I would say Eason threw 30 or 40 balls in 11-on-11 settings. And then in the regular season, he never practiced until those 6 weeks of scout team work when Rivers was hurt. And that was just one Wednesday practice. That wasn't even the full week. So if you're crunching numbers like that, he may be, I don't know, unless I'm forgetting a bunch of days, but I'm pretty sure this is accurate. He threw about 40 or 50 balls in 11-on-11 settings, leading the Colts offense and their system and their playbook and all that. So again, how can you start him? I think that's where the Colts look at it and say, all right, we're not throwing him out there. Let's sneak Alex in before we get to Nyheim Hines. What's up, Alex?
Hey, what's happening, man?
How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Just had 2 questions for you.
Shoot.
Was curious, what are your thoughts on, and this will all tie back into something, but what are your thoughts on how the Colts parted ways with Manning and how the Colts parted ways with Andrew Luck? Do you think it was? I mean, I have my opinion about Grigson when it comes to Luck, and I didn't really think that. So, organizationally, maybe it kind of seemed like Manning was getting kind of pushed out the door. But that was my first question for you.
Oh boy, that's that's pretty deep there, I guess.
Manning, a loaded question, right?
Manning, as much as you wanted the fairy tale Hollywood ending, financially it just didn't add up. I mean, you were that team was falling apart. Just again, from a financial standpoint, you weren't going to be able to keep all of that around him. So he moved on to Denver, where they were building to that.
Yeah.
And that's why it worked. So I totally understood, as hard it was to see. and it's a press conference, none of us will ever forget, but
for sure
you understood it. And the whole luck thing, I mean, I just think Andrew could not compartmentalize his life. And I know that might sound like a bit simple and a bit odd at the same time, but when he had to go through rehab physically, it impacted his relationship as a new husband, as a soon-to-be father, brother, son, whatever else. And again, there are sacrifices and there's a level of compartmentalizing that every professional athlete has to do to succeed at the highest of levels.
Sure.
And Andrew just no longer could do that.
So I guess my point that I was not point, but my question is, I'm not really one to believe in karma per se, but do you think that maybe the organization has kind of taken for granted the fact that we've had, the quarterback situation pretty much squared away up until this point, and now we're kind of having to deal with what other teams call reality?
No, this is reality, and I've said it before, Alex, and thank you for the call. This is quarterback. People say to me, quarterback purgatory. This is quarterback hell. When you don't have the answer to your franchise. I mean, listen to the conversations that we're having here. I mean, I got Mike yelling in at me about Jameis Winston. He's acting like Jameis Winston's first ballot Hall of Famer. This is where we're at. Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, this is the reality. So, yeah, you had the number 1 overall pick when 2 generational QBs were coming out. You could have had, if it would have been, 1 year difference, you would have had, I don't know, Eric Fisher and Akili Smith or whoever the next quarterback came out after Peyton was. Like, yeah, this is the reality of it, and this is what makes building a consistent winner in the NFL so difficult. But every franchise eventually faces it. The Colts have put it off, or have been able to put it off longer than just about anybody else. Even the Packers, obviously the Patriots, they've been in great quarterback situations over the past 2 decades. They didn't have the number 1 overall pick on 2 different occasions. So, earn their money. Chris Bowen and company, certainly going to earn it. All right, we come back here. Nyheim Hines is going to join us. He's going to call in, and spokesperson for muscular dystrophy here in 2021. I love that. One of my favorite interviews, and I can't wait to talk with Nyheim Hines. When we come back here, Kevin Bowen filling in today for John.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Mike Wells. You talk about 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We saw that in 2018. They took a step forward back when Luck led them to the playoffs. Then they took like 3 steps back when Luck retired. You take another step forward with the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. Now you're potentially looking at a step or 2 back, depending on who the quarterback is going to be next season. Not a great position to be in for the Colts.
The Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Weekday mornings at 7
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hockey and basketball fans love scoring in nets. But what else do they have in common? A chance for an easy 100 from BetMGM. Register for the King of Sportsbooks and win $100 in free bets when you place a $1 moneyline wager on the Pacers-Grizzlies game. And if either team hits a 3, you win. Simply sign up using the bonus code BIGJOE100 when you make that first bet to take advantage of this offer. Now, maybe you got more in common with table tennis fans. That was a Stasiak family Christmas present this year. No matter what your sport, BetMGM is where the stakes are always raised. So enjoy innovative parlay selection features, boosted odds specials for major payouts, daily promotions, and more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com to use that bonus code BIGJOE100 to win $100 in free bets when you wager $1 on either Indiana or Memphis to hit a 3. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years of age or older to wager, and if you know someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Bob's Discount Furniture presents Bob Opera.
We watch a lot of TV shows these days. We all know why. We're stuck inside. You need a nice new 5-piece sectional that can recline and hold your wine. Bob's Discount Furniture is everything you need. No phony sales and gimmicks, low prices guaranteed. His name is Bob and it's his way to bring you value every day. Visit and you'll see Bob's Discount equals quality.
It's not discount furniture, it's quality furniture at a discount.
Get Bob's Discount.
We go out as a group of guys and former players, and they are just blown away with how great my hair looks. I did the multi-unit hair grafting because I was tired of having to wear a hat.
My friend Rick DeMully, Indiana's own former professional football player, and I both know We Grow Hair Indy is the most trusted medical hair restoration clinic and the only company in the Midwest that has the ARTIST robotic FUE and multi-unit hair grafting. Call 888-724-5129 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com. We Grow Hair Indy PRP treatments helps me keep my non-transplanted hair. Takes about 45 minutes, and this busy world, it's perfect.
Having the hair that I have now has just given me confidence and just make me feel good about myself.
This year, restore your confidence and grow your hair back. Call for a free in-office or virtual evaluation. 888-724-5129 or WeGrowHairIndy.com. Today, that's 888-724-5129. JMV here for LD Smith Plumbing. Have you already called out a plumber only to be unimpressed with their knowledge and skill? Or maybe shock about pricing? Then call my guy Lance at LD Smith Plumbing for a free second opinion. I promise I've used them. They are awesome. LD Smith Plumbing is a local company that can tackle any issue, big or small, for you. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com or 317-284-9526. 317-284-9526. Must provide competitor invoice for free second opinion. Details at ldsmithplumbing.com.
Sports with Dan Dakich.
Greg Cosell, nice enough to join. Colts need a quarterback. What would you do?
They don't really have one under contract except for Jacob Eason. I have no idea what they think of him. People talk about Carson Wentz because of Frank Reich. Other than that, you might have to look to the draft. I'm not sure where you go, but you need a quarterback just for competition. I don't know if you're going to get the guy that's the savior of the franchise, Dan, but you need competition at the quarterback position.
Dan Dakich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Hey, my buddy, Swanson, full steam ahead, over there. I want to go over there. Move over, Swanson, I'm driving.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Thanks again to Jacob Eason for joining us. Kyle will have that up. Podcasts will be up shortly, and we got Nyheim Hines calling in as well here any minute now, so looking forward to chatting with the Bojangles Hedgehog star of the Colts. I'm curious what his next touchdown celebration is. You know, there's not many things, Kyle, that make me kind of have like an audible gasp during a game. You know, I'm kind of like locked into working, but I'll tell you what, man, when he did that corkscrew, whatever the hell you call it, I mean, I have no idea what it's called. Sam Pezic would probably be furious at me that I don't know what it's called, but some sort of back handspring. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, he's going to get hurt. Is it the Lions game? That was quite the athletic achievement by Nyheim Hines, so.
Where Matthew Stafford threw 2 pick sixes.
Oh, my gosh. So I went back and watched that game on Sunday morning. My daughter slept terribly, and I was like, all right, might as well. It was a Sunday morning, May. It was a week before that when I thought that Stafford to the Colts was possible. Boy, he made some throws. I forgot that, like, 70-yarder he threw. What an arm. But then he threw one to Kari Will. It was or maybe Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore was an awful pick six, yeah. I think it was. Kari Willis, not as much, but yeah, the Kenny Moore one was like, he just flat out didn't even see him. That's the thing about Stafford. That's really not his MO. I think 11 picks. I guess I thought he was maybe a little more turnover prone than he's been in his career. So we had a couple of 5 o'clock tips in the college basketball world. Butler currently down 20-10 up in Marquette, as they're trying to salvage something close to 500 in the Big East. Notre Dame playing right now. They've got Wake Forest 28-24. And then we've got Purdue, Maryland at 6:30. Purdue at Maryland. I think that's close to a pick'em game. And then we've got IU, Illinois to close out the night, 9 o'clock. It's a late one. You got to feel like IU, at the minimum, needs a split this week. Illinois at home, and then Iowa also at home. IU really played pretty well at Illinois earlier this year. Armand Franklin just was terrific in that game. Is Franklin going to play tonight? I figure that's kind of iffy. I didn't listen to Archie Miller's Inside IU Basketball last night with Don Fisher, but it sounded like the update on Armand was not great. I mean, he was a little gimpy against Rutgers, but I just figured a week off would help him. Trey Galloway, I think, got back to practice. And, yeah, IU needs that. They need to play like the team that has a sense of urgency inside of Assembly Hall. I don't think that's happened enough this year. Illinois coming off a big win. They beat Iowa over the weekend. So we'll wait for Nyheim Hines. Let's sneak in. Who we got here? Topper's Pizza. Great cheese sticks over there by APY. What's up, Topper?
Yeah, I know, man. Hey, not much. How you doing, KB?
Doing good, man.
Filling in?
Yeah.
Hey, a couple thoughts on the quarterback. It doesn't seem like we're going to have like a definite number one going in, which is, not every team has that. Chris Ballard talks a lot about having competition at every position. So this year, maybe this will be the year that's the mantra at quarterback. And, personally, I wouldn't mind giving Eason a chance to compete, but I think you probably bring in, somebody that may still have some life left in them at a relatively low cost. And then I got to be honest, I mean, watching Tampa get threatened by Washington with Henke, don't get that guy and let him come in and compete for the position. So, I mean, seriously, everybody talks about playoff football being the next level. It really, nothing like playoff caliber football. And that guy
looked like Mike Vick scrambling a few times.
Yeah, for a mediocre Washington team against a team that's now going to the Super Bowl. So anyway, I think it'll be fun to watch, actually.
Appreciate it, Topper. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Colts had some interest in Taylor. Is it Heineke? Old Dominion guy. Yeah, he had a couple scrambles in that game. I was like, whoa. But yeah, I mean, the whole Eason thing, you got to think the Colts would go with some stopgap. Is it Nick Foles? For some reason, I really hope the Raiders can get a little panicky mode and think that they have an upgrade that they can find, and boom, now Derek Carr's on the open market. People like Jimmy G, they want him. Garoppolo's a guy that, if you just look at his pure numbers, 24-8 as a starter.
Injury.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And the 49ers are probably going to, they were in the Stafford sweepstakes, so they're probably looking to upgrade at QB, not downgrade.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If they get rid of Jimmy G.
I don't know who's out there that they think is an upgrade over Jimmy G, though, now.
Well, they're sitting there at 12 overall. Is this something to where the Colts, how long will the Colts wait to show their hand at quarterback? I think that's kind of another layer to this as well. You would think in the next 6 weeks, something notable has to happen there. I mean, who was the guy they signed yesterday? Jalen Morton. You got to do something of substance. And if they don't do anything, well, that clearly indicates that, boom, come draft time, you're doing something pretty significant. Should have Nyheim Hines joining us here any minute. Muscular dystrophy spokesperson for 2021 is Nyheim. I think his mom, his uncle, and his grandma have all suffered from that illness. Is the son of someone. My mom taught several kids when she was a teacher with muscular dystrophy. I think it's just awesome what Nyheim is doing. And just seems like a great guy. Just a great individual. I know it's very cliche to say that about a lot of Colts players, but I do think Chris Ballard's trait of high character. I mean, this is probably the jinx of all jinxes for those that believe in that. But when's the last time you've seen a Colts player bottom ticker on ESPN? Breaking into NFL Live. That's it just doesn't happen. I think it was a big element of why the Colts had success this year. You had a lot of self-motivated guys. I think that's why the Pacers, when it's all said and done, assuming the injury bug doesn't kill them, they're going to be a top 5 seed. I just think there's a self-motivation and an internal drive individually from both of those organizations that really Kevin Pritchard and Chris Ballard set out and, acquiring players, and it's a big part of it. Yeah, I don't think the Colts will extend Nyheim Hines this year, but I think he's deserving of it. deserves to have the that conversation. He's played in all 48 games in his career. I can't even tell you a time I remember seeing him on the injury report. And just in today's NFL, especially this offense, when it is more of a quick rhythm attack, I think it's so critical to have a guy like him as well, getting the ball out of the backfield and making plays like that. You let me know, Kyle, if you think we should break here anytime soon, just in case. Now we got, I think, Nyheim calling in here now. So, yeah, we'll have Nyheim Hines on here. Hopefully right now. Nyheim is joining us on behalf of the Muscular Dystrophy Association, a health organization committed to funding research and care for people nationwide living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and over 43 neuromuscular diseases. So they're getting Nyheim on right now, and we'll have him on here to talk about his offseason. Usually trains down in the North Carolina area, and I won't talk too much golf with him, although that is something that I would love to chat with him about. I mean, his progression really this year came as an explosive runner. I thought that was his biggest part, where he really saw growth and took it to another level this year. Him as a receiver always been pretty consistent, but again, his growth as a runner, big time. We got him on. Awesome. Nyheim Hines, Muscular Dystrophy Association National Spokesperson for 2021. Join us now on the ride with JMV. Nyheim, that's an awesome title, man.
I'm truthfully honored to be the national spokesman, the Muscular Dystrophy Association. But truthfully, it's not being named that. I plan to leave a legacy behind and do right by others and bring awareness and raise money for this as well.
Now, I remember back in December, you had them on your My Claws, My Cleats, right?
Yes, every year, all 3 years I've done them.
Have you? And is it your mom and your uncle and your grandma have all been impacted by this?
Yes, and it goes farther than that. My great grandmother had it. I think somebody in each generation on my mom's side has had it. So it's been a long family fight, truthfully.
Well, I was saying before you hopped on here, my mom taught students with muscular dystrophy for several years. So as someone that, indirectly has seen what this can do, people, I just think it's absolutely awesome that you're carrying this torch, and happy for you, man.
Thank you. There's the world needs a lot more people like your mom to not be affected by it and still help. Just that's amazing. So I really appreciate that, and all of us do who've been affected by it and the people living with it.
Nyheim Hines, appreciate the time. Join us right here on the ride of the JMV. Third NFL season just wrapped up for you. I guess individually, Nyheim, what were you most proud of yourself in this 2020 season?
Individually, I think I just played better. I ran the ball better between the tackles, and I think truthfully, I was just happy that I made the most of the opportunity. And truthfully, there's a lot of things I'm proud of for myself, but we didn't get anywhere close to winning a Super Bowl and getting close. So that's really how I feel. I'm really happy with what I've done, but obviously, personally, I feel like I need to do more to help us, win. And all of us, we need to make the plays come to us, and that's really the goal. Not really about me. It's about us, going to the Super Bowl and winning.
How often have you thought about that Buffalo game?
Every day. Every day I wake up, I think about it. And every day I watch the playoff games since the Buffalo game, I was thinking about how we could, possibly be there. So I'll probably think about it every day until I get to play football again. So that's what I'm going to use to motivate me. And hopefully, I think a lot of our team will use that because we were in the game and we just didn't execute some of the plays that could have turned the tide for us. And that's how I look at that. So that's probably why I've been thinking about it every day.
Going back to the earlier point you were making about maybe a few more big plays in the run game, I felt like, we saw the Carolina punt returns a few years ago, but I felt like this year, specifically as a runner, you gave this team a few more explosive runs, which is something you did in college, but had been missing a little bit in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My job entails a lot of things. Sometimes it's running the ball 10 times. Sometimes it's not getting any carries. And truthfully, my job is just to make the most of the opportunities. And I think, like I said earlier, this year I made the most of the opportunities on some of the runs I had. The past 2 years, I can't say that. There might have been something I was wrong with, a read, patience. But I think this year I really did truthfully make the most and did everything I possibly could do. And I'm going to keep doing it. I think this year I just figured out things on the offense. And, it's my third year. I think I'm just getting older and just figuring out things a little bit better. And hopefully the run game for me keeps getting better.
Nyheim Hines joining us on behalf of the Muscular Dystrophy Association, the spokesperson for 2021, Colts running back and wideout, I guess you could also call him. Paula wanted me to ask you how the Hedgehog's doing.
Oh, the Hedgehog's well. I actually gave her to my masseuse's daughter on probably about 2 months ago, and it really was because I didn't want Shadow, but I realized that she probably be around more people. And from what I've heard, she's actually been better because she's with 5 people who are around her all the time, as opposed to me who leaves for 12 hours. So I think I think giving her away to my masseuse's daughter made her life a lot better and hopefully happier.
Did you say the name is Shadow?
Yes, Shadow, like as in Sonic's arch nemesis, is exactly why I named her Shadow. I grew up a Shadow kid.
I absolutely love that. How often have you been to Bojangles since the offseason started?
Oh, let's not talk about that because I'm still in Indiana. So I'll be going back home in about a couple weeks. I stayed here, just been working hard and getting some treatment and things. But I'll go home in about a month, and that's probably the first place I'm going to go when I get off of the plane.
I was going to say, because you're a big track trainer, aren't you? Once you get into the off season workout.
Yes, I do run a lot, so I don't eat as much Bojangles as I want to because I'm running so hard. But I promise you, before I start running really hard, I promise you I'm going to eat a lot of Bojangles.
I would say the thing, and I've been talking throughout the show that I honestly think the Colts should give you a contract extension this offseason. I won't put that awkward conversation to you, but the fact that the fact that you haven't missed a game yet in the NFL, how much pride do you take in that?
You know what? The funniest thing about that is I don't even take as much pride in that as not missing practice. I haven't missed a single practice since I've been there neither. And I think as an athlete and myself, I've done everything I can do to show that I'm dependable and I'm available. And not missing a practice, that's what I'm more excited about that because obviously the games matter, but practice is where it translates to the game. And that's how important, the reps and everything is to me. I haven't missed a practice. So I think I'm doing that, try not to miss a practice, any more practices, any games, and keep doing everything I can do to make the most of the opportunity. And I think if I do that, no matter what the contract situation is, I think it'll work out in my favor somehow.
I didn't realize that. I mean, I was saying earlier, I don't feel like I've seen you on the injury report hardly at all in your 3 years, but I didn't realize you haven't missed a practice either.
No, I practice every single day.
Oh, my God.
I missed the last OTA day, if you want to count that, my rookie year because I pulled my hamstring. But every practice the last 3 years, I've been there and practiced.
God, that is crazy impressive. Nyheim Hines joining us here on the ride of the JMV. Obviously, big news a few weeks ago, Nyheim, with Philip Rivers deciding to hang it up. And you've known, or at least from afar, have seen Philip a whole lot over the past couple decades plus now. The fact that you were his leading receiver in his final season, is that something that'll resonate with you?
That is pretty cool. Now thinking about it, he's one of my favorite players growing up, and I guess his last year I was his leading receiver. So I haven't really thought about that much, but that's really an honor. And truthfully for me, I'm honestly just honored to play with Philip Rivers. I grew up a kid from Raleigh, North Carolina, hearing about him and watching him on TV at NC State, and never thinking I would actually play with him. That was a dream come true of mine. I always wanted to play with Philip Rivers. So the fact that I could be his leading receiver his last year is a greater honor than I could ever imagine, truthfully.
What will you remember the most about just watching Philip operate as a pro or as a quarterback?
What will I remember most? I will remember most probably how much Philip talks during the game and changes the play. Sometimes we don't know the play until 5 seconds is left on the play clock because Philip's getting us in the perfect play, and I'm just always going to think about his dialogue. Sometimes, it could be a snap. People are like, Nyheim, move out, or we're good. He's really just talking to you like it's not a football game. He's like, all right, guys, easy. Come on, guys. I think just his dialogue and his competitiveness is what I'm going to remember because there's not going to be a quarterback who talks on the field as much as Philip Rivers. I can promise you that. I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy to me.
I felt like during that Buffalo playoff game, that play clock was down to 2, 3, 1 every single play, and yet every single time, oh, yeah, you guys are good. The ball snapped.
Look, that's why we have 450 yards of offense. 17 got us in the right play a lot, and, I'm going to miss that a lot. I'm just going to really miss the veteran leadership from him and how he really carried himself. It it didn't matter if you were an undrafted free agent or you were T.Y. Hilton. You can go to Philip and ask him anything about how to become a better player and a better pro and a better person, and he would tell you about that. So he was a really great leader. I'm always going to, remember that and cherish him for that.
Before we let you go, Nyheim, got to ask you, what's next on the touchdown celebration list?
Oh, my. I wasn't ready for that. That's the one question I haven't been ready for. I don't know. Truthfully, with my touchdown celebrations, I don't think about them much. Like, I might do it, but whenever I get in the end zone, I do whatever goes into my brain. So that day I just decided to flip.
Come on, you had to have thought about that one a little bit before.
I said I was going to do that the first touchdown of my career, and I just always forgot because I always knew I could do the flip. But it was just that day. I'm just when it comes to celebrations and things, I'm just a sporadic person. That just that day when I got to the stadium, I said, dang, if I score today, I'm going to flip. And I was lucky enough to score twice. But I don't know. I don't know what's next. Maybe some more dancing. Hopefully not too many more flips.
Well, hopefully many more trips to the end zone and for a long time to come. As I've been saying, second contract should be coming for you here shortly. Nyheim Hines, just an awesome cause. Thank you for everything you've done, not only for this community here, but I know it far outreaches just the city of Indianapolis. And stay safe and healthy during the offseason, Nyheim, and we'll hopefully see you back here in the spring.
Thank you so much, and always a pleasure to talk to you guys. Can't wait to talk to you guys again.
Nyheim Hines right there. You can head to mda.org to learn more about Nyheim's partnership and donate to help fund cures. Again, the spokesperson for Muscular Dystrophy Association here in 2021. One of a kind, Nyheim Hines. Great, great human. You can just feel his energy, can't you? Just absolutely a kid playing the game that he loves, and always enjoy chatting with Nyheim Hines. We are well over break, Kyle. We'll be back here. Kevin Bowen filling in for John, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Kids, tell your parents about Form's Sprout of the Month contest where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
What's in store this week at Staples?
Maximizing your refund and your peace of mind.
Now at Staples, save up to $25 on select TurboTax software, including new TurboTax Live.
TurboTax Live puts you in touch with a live expert, or do it yourself with TurboTax desktop software.
Shop in store, pick up curbside, or get it delivered same day through Instacart. And save big every day at Staples.
While supplies last. Ends 2/13/21. Curbside available at most stores. Instacart delivery subject to availability. Additional fees may apply.
Hey, it's JMV, and I've been a mess on Valentine's Day forever, never getting it right. Seems like whatever I buy is just not the right thing, does not hit the mark, and is normally rushed. That's why I love the fact that I'm with FTD this year, because FTD's bouquets are expertly arranged and delivered by local florists. For a limited time only, you can save 20% on your next purchase from FTD by visiting FTD.com/JMV. This is such a great deal going on. I'm always in for hassle-free, and let FTD do the work for you. And their bouquets, their arrangements look incredible. So don't sweat it this Valentine's Day. Send the gift, a bouquet of flowers from FTD. And for a limited time only, you can visit FTD.com/JMV and save 20% on your next purchase. That's 20% off at FTD.com/JMV.
Progressive presents an interview with your upstairs neighbor.
My name's Barry. I live right above you. I don't host parties. I host after parties. They're like parties, only louder and nobody goes home. You can see right here I ripped out all the carpeting because it was holding me back with my pogo stick. Man's got a pogo. Oh, I'm a prankster. I'll grease up a soda can and then when somebody grabs it, boom!
Progressive can't save you from your upstairs neighbor, but we can save you money when you bundle renters and auto insurance with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Hey, it's Big Joe for AAA. AAA Hoosier Motor Club, the place where you can get peace of mind when you're out there driving on the road. Or more importantly, like me and my family, when I'm busy at work and I know my wife is running my kids here and there, it's great to know that she is taken care of. Should she have any kind of a problem out there on the road, flat tires, running out of gas, a dead battery, even if her keys get locked in the car, I know that somebody is going to be on their way to help her immediately. And that's become even more important when she's out of town quite a bit, helping to care for her mom and dad. And the great thing about AAA is they work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to make sure their members are covered. And you know what's amazing? 97% of all travel is being done by car now. So a AAA membership is an absolute no-brainer. It's easy to become a member. All you have to do is
go to AAA.com. That's AAA.com or call 844-GO-AAA-GO. And when you do, don't forget to ask for a quote for AAA auto, home, and life insurance because you don't have to be stuck on the side of the road to get assistance from AAA. That's AAA.com or 844-GO-AAA-GO.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Podcast will be up shortly. Nyheim, Hines, Jacob Eason joining us today on the Ride with JMV. John will be back tomorrow and for the rest of the week. Some college basketball updates. Butler down 33-21 at halftime to Marquette. Can't say I'm too surprised by that score. Bo Hodges, the transfer that's now eligible, 8 points and 5 rebounds in the first half. That's pretty good first half right there. A couple assists as well. Purdue, Maryland will get started here in about a half hour. Pacers, Grizzlies tonight at 8 o'clock. Again, the Grizzlies won 7 in a row, which is just, I totally forgot about that. One of the better defenses in the league. A lot of Indiana ties. Unfortunately, Jaren Jackson, Park Tudor product, and Sean McDermott, the Butler product, both of them are out due to injuries. But Desmond Bain scored in double figures last night off the bench. Rookie from TCU and the pride of Richmond. And John Concher, who was a great collegiate player up at Fort Wayne. He came off the bench last night and scored as well. They scored 133 last night. So the Pacers need a bounce back. They haven't lost 3 in a row all year. Pacers trying to avoid that. And they go to Milwaukee tomorrow night. That is a 7 o'clock. And for those that aren't getting Pacer games on TV, that game tomorrow is on ESPN. Our coverage radio-wise will begin at 7:30 tonight as they've got the Grizz, and then, like I was saying earlier, tough stretch coming up with the Jazz on Sunday. Pelicans Friday, Jazz Sunday afternoon, Super Bowl matinee game, and then the Nets next Wednesday. IU Illinois tonight. Last I saw, Illinois was favored by 3.5. So we'll see. Armand Franklin banged up. Trey Galloway sounds like back to practice, but we'll see if he plays. But Trace Jackson really struggled the first meeting. He's been so good all year, but he struggled against this length and Kofi Coburn in the first matchup. Armand Franklin was terrific, though. So, got to think. I mean, it's February. We're kind of approaching borderline must-win times for IU. It's not to that degree just yet, but got to win one of these two this week. Illinois at home and Iowa at home on Sunday afternoon. Again, thank you to Greg Rakestraw, Sam Monta from Pro Football Focus, Jacob Eason, Nyheim Hines for joining us today on the Ride at JMV. Kevin Bowen filling in. Those podcasts will be up. Pacers coverage starts 7:30, them against the Grizzlies. John will be back tomorrow. Appreciate you all tuning in. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Sports with Dan Dakich.
John Salisbury. I have people emailing me